In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, gang, what do you say we just hop right into it? What's going on? Welcome back. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Cheers if you're drinking one. Raise a toast to the show. I appreciate you guys once again. Hit that like button on the way in. What's going on, chat? What's up, everybody? You guys deserve one hell of a greeting, and I appreciate you guys for being here. What's up, Karen? What's up, Mr. Webb? What's up, Ian? What's up, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram? And I think we managed to do the whole Substack thing correctly. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe not. I'm way overconfident in that regard. I can tell you that much, but we got a lot to get to, a lot to cover tonight, as usual. Unfortunately, it's just the craziness never stops, as you guys know, which forces us to continue to do these shows, to call out the bullshit, the propaganda, the lies, all of the nonsense. And it would be very appreciative. I would be very appreciative. The show would be very appreciative if you guys had a dollar or two, if you could kick it into the show, either via Venmo, in the super chat, or you can become a channel member for under $3 for the month, which is less than a gallon of gas right now, I might add. But again, self-promotional bullshit out of the way. And thank you guys to everybody, obviously, heading over to the Blunt Politics shop that have been being so nice and so generous since we kind of relaunched that. So thank you for keeping the show going any way that you guys can. Thank you to everybody gifting subs and, making sure that we get a couple donations in the chat each show. You guys have been fantastic. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. What do you say we bring you in so you can have some screen time? You guys deserve the screen time. I always say you guys deserve it. There you are. What's going on, guys? What's happening? First and foremost, thank you to the mods. Salute to you guys. Thank you so much for keeping that chat a safe place for people to have some brutal dialogue, but still, keeping it safe. But what's going on? Hey, there you are. What up, Vincent? What's going on? And I appreciate you, Wes. I saw you in there earlier. Greetings to everybody from Wes and everybody else. Thank you, Vinny, for kicking it off the right way with the $10 super chat. Much appreciated. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. What's going on, Leon? What's happening, guys? What's up, Pam? What's up, Andrea? How are you? What's up, Nick? What's going on, guys? What's up, Jorge? my man. What's up, Yakov? Appreciate you. I know we didn't get it to work, but I'm sure we'll get it there at some point, Yakov. I appreciate you sticking with me on that one. I appreciate you sticking with me. What's up, Zircon? What's up, DPD? Love you guys. Appreciate you very, very, very much. All right, what do you say we get into a little bit of what we'll be discussing tonight? Probably first and foremost, we should probably dive into, I guess we could wait a second. Nobody needs to fucking rush into that. But all right, a few of the things we'll be covering tonight. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the ongoing story of whether or not we're going to be putting boots on the ground in Iran, whether or not Karg Island is going to be in the sights of the U.S. military, and again, what the ramifications, repercussions, and retaliations we could see stemming from that. Obviously, we're going to be speaking about Donald Trump's ridiculous press conference again. There are just a lot. There's too many moments for me to go through all the clips. So unfortunately, we're going to have to dive into about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes of this ridiculous press conference that he gave. There's just so many moments that need to be called out. So again, I apologize for making you suffer through that. And also, we have the James O'Brien clip we didn't get into this morning on the early show. So I'm looking forward to getting into that, where he kind of tears Donald Trump a new one, as he's typically known to do. We'll also be talking about, this is the video that I wanted to play today earlier on the show as well. Let me throw this on the screen so you guys can at least see what I'm talking about while I'm discussing it. Throw this up there. Throw this up there. Howdy doody time. There we go. This is the video that I was talking about this morning. I really didn't want to risk it when we were kind of simulcast on with this space. But this is from Cappy Army. I'm not familiar with the channel at all, but I think he does a very good job here from what I saw. I watched a little bit of it and wanted to watch the rest of it with you guys, but he does a pretty good job of kind of describing what may be the U.S. military's kind of, tactics and what they're trying to get done inside and around the Strait of Hormuz, and maybe what they're looking at as far as Karg Island as well. Doesn't mean it's going to go well, doesn't mean it's going to be successful, but I think he does a relatively good job of breaking down what their supposed or alleged tactics might be as far as that's concerned. We have a couple Preston Stewart videos, again, talking about the FPV drones over, I believe this is a U.S. base in Baghdad, if I'm not mistaken. We'll be diving into the OSINT Defender again, talking about the Iranian officials once again threatening the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which, again, we've been continuously talking about on this show as something that we need to keep our eye on and pay attention to, because it will have some pretty big ramifications. And, again, just these threats alone seem to be starting at least that kind of, waterfall, that cascading effect of ships going around, Africa the long way and going the other way, which is adding a substantial amount of days to the route, a substantial amount of money. And again, it's all going to trickle down to your wallet, your pocketbook, whatever it may be. We also have Tim Fool. Things ain't looking good, brother. I'm not gonna lie. Judging by his kind of, his thumbnails, judging by what he's titling his video, doesn't seem to be in the position, or this country doesn't seem to be in the position that Tim Pool thought it was going to be when he was like hooping and hollering for Donald Trump and talking how bad the Democrats were and how horrendous it would be to have a black woman as president. So we'll go into a little bit of Tim Pool's video there, where he's talking about the Democrats flipping the seat of again, which is just beautiful to say. Democrats flipping the seat that includes Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. Again, if you wanted to kind of a snapshot, a little picture as to how the sentiment is on the ground and what the people are feeling, and which way they're likely to vote come midterm elections. Again, we continue to point to the ongoing through line of the special elections that Democrats have been outperforming. We also have a Benny Johnson video. I won't even show you that one. We'll save that one for the end, because as everybody's talking about war and possible nuclear action and the price of fuel and what that means and how long this war is going to go on, we'll take a look at what Benny Johnson's talking about. And it's what sycophants probably would be talking about in this regard. And then we get a couple videos going into Ukraine as well. But I appreciate you guys once again. Thank you so much for all the support. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't yet. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by midterm. I know that is a tall order. I know that is a large ask, but I think we can get it done. I know with this community and the community that we've built here, we can get this show out there to enough people. We can get our opinions, we can get the facts out there to enough people to make that a possibility. So again, I appreciate you guys for making it happen. Hit that like button, and let's dive into a little bit of the craziness, because talk about saying the quiet part out loud right off the bat. Talk about saying the quiet part out loud. And this is tonight. This was only about a few minutes ago. This is Trump speaking at the 2026 NRCC annual fundraising dinner, whatever the fuck that is. Again, just ridiculously, as an idiot, like the moron he is, saying the quiet part out loud, like typically the stuff you don't want to say in front of a camera, typically the stuff you don't want to say in front of a microphone, right? Wouldn't really bode well for the war crimes that'll be coming up, hopefully. Wouldn't be good for the hearings that hopefully come up when the Democrats take back not only the House, but the Senate as well. But again, I digress. But check this out. This is him, like I said, just quite literally saying the quiet part out loud.
Chaos. It's all they're good at, creating chaos. They can't do policy, no good. But they're doing it for two reasons. Number one is they want to deflect from all of the tremendous success that we're having in this military operation. I won't use the word war, because they say if you use the word war, that's maybe not a good thing to do. They don't like the word war because you're supposed to get approval. So I'll use the word military operation.
Okay. So quite literally, what we just heard was the president of the United States saying, oh, all I'm going to do is not call this a war, because if we go to war, you're supposed to get congressional approval. And we don't want congressional approval. We already went around that. So we're just going to name this a special military operation, quite literally like Vladimir Putin did. Like, this is him coming outright and saying the only reason we're not saying the word war, even though we've called it a war millions and millions of times. Pete Hegseth consistently calls it a battlefield, a war zone, his warriors. It's a war. In order to win war, we're not handcuffing our soldiers when they go to war. Like, he said it fucking 3,000 different times in 30,000 different occasions. But this is Donald Trump literally saying the quiet part out loud here, okay? We're not going to call it a war. People don't like us to call it a war because that would require approval. That would mean that we would have to go to Congress and ask them to declare war because only Congress has the power to do so, right? And then they consistently say that we've given a timeline between 4 and 6 weeks. Well, I thought they only had 60 days, right? So right off the bat, you're already given a timeline above and beyond the 60 days that you even, are supposedly have at your discretion, right? So again, this is one more time the quiet part out loud of him and why he consistently has to. He almost called it a war right there. It's the only reason he even mentioned this is because he himself almost called it a war once again. Check this out.
Success that we're having in this.
Right there. He wants to say war so bad. He wants to say war so bad because they're trying to take away from the success that we're having in this. And he wants to say war, but then he catches himself and says, well, special military operation.
Policy, no good. But they're doing it for two reasons. No, number one is they want to deflect from all of the tremendous success that we're having in this military operation. I won't use the word war because they say if you use the word war, that's maybe not a good thing to do. They don't like the word war because you're supposed to get approval. So I'll use the word military operation.
Fuck me. Jesus Christ. You know what? I mean, does it get more obvious than that? Like, what more explanation do you need as far as that's concerned? Like, it wouldn't take too much further explanation to get somebody to see that, like, he's doing this for a specific reason. Like, you can tell the rhetoric behind this is very calculated and that there's a reason why, every time somebody in the administration calls it a war, like, there's ramifications to that. There's questions that go along with that, and everybody kind of gets upset. That's why this whole military operation thing is even a thing inside of the Republican Party. Just like it's a thing inside of Vladimir Putin's. Like, it's crazy. We're seeing these similarities. Like, these people only know how to steal from dictatorial playbooks. They're so stupid. They don't know how to write their own playbooks as far as this is concerned, which is why it's so easy to uncover, which is why it was so easy to foresee, right? This is why people on the left side of the aisle were warning against this for quite some fucking time now. Because we know what they're pulling. We know what playbooks they're pulling from. We know what plays. We know they're bullshit. It's fucking old at this point. We've seen it done. We know how to stop it. We knew how to combat it. We knew that way back when. But somehow we let it creep into our society. We let it creep into the government once again. And this is where we now find ourselves. But again, it's wild to see that, basically all they have is to say, okay, what's that other dictator doing? Let's copy what he's doing. He's not calling it a war. Let's not call it a war. He's calling it a military operation. Let's call it a military operation, right? What did the Nazis do? Oh, they went after all of their political opponents. Okay, let's go after all of our political opponents. What else did they do? They tried to take over the media. Oh, they did control the media. Okay, let's do that too. They called everything fake news that they didn't like. Okay, let's do that too. Right? Like, I mean, it's just like, oh, they went into any territory they thought because they had a bigger, badder military, because they were allowed to rebuild. So they went into Russia, they went into France, right? They went into Poland. Like, they did all these things because they knew or thought at that time they had the biggest and baddest military and nobody could take them on, much like Donald Trump loves to espouse right now. So that's why he's talking about going into Greenland. That's why we've gone into Venezuela. That's why we're now enacting this war in Iran. That's why we're talking about war with Mexico. Now we're going into Cuba next. You see the similarities? You see the parallels? I know the word hyperbole loves to come into play every time I bring this connection up, but I think it's pretty clear that you can take that hyperbole accusation and stick it straight up your keister at this point. I mean, if you can't see the parallels, I don't know what to do. There's a lens crafters somewhere in the area, I'm sure, and they'd be more than happy to, get them eyes checked out. Maybe the ears too, considering if you just listen. All right, but we don't have to go into any more of that. I think that was pretty clear. That was kind of one of the last things that I heard when I was listening to that before I came on, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. And the same thing that Mike Johnson, the same thing that like John Thune and J.D. Vance are doing when they see this, right? If they're not in attendance, and I didn't see, who was in attendance at that, but again, if they're watching this on TV, if they're seeing this in a clip, you can definitely bet your money on the fact that they were both like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, they don't, this guy, he's just giving the ball game away at every fucking turn, right? We continuously say at least, like, even like, at least they lied to us before. Like, at least they tried to give us some sort of like false thing to grab onto as far as like weapons of mass destruction. At least they were lying to us in front of cameras and talking about the real, things and real dealings behind these, behind the doors, behind when the, in these closed room meetings and shit, in these smoke-filled rooms with the whiskey. But now this is what we're dealing with. This is Donald Trump being like, okay, the only reason we're not going to call it a war, even though we've called it a war 1.5 billion times already, is because we know that then people would have a way to hold us accountable. Because it's not really my job to declare war, right? It's kind of Congress's job to get that shit done. Anyway, you guys know the deal. But that brings me on to this one, considering, the talk of boots on the ground, considering, the Marines that have been sent into the area, considering the 82nd Airborne that has been sent into the area. This is reported about 6 hours ago, where a speaker of the Iranian parliament said in a statement that the Iranian intelligence has viewed what they believe are preparations by, quote, enemies, likely the U.S., as it says here in quotations, backed by a regional power, likely Israel, to take one of Iran's key islands. Okay, much has been discussed about Karg Island, as we know. We also can talk about some of the other smaller islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz as well. But again, this is based on some data. Iran's enemies, with the support of one of the regional countries, are preparing to occupy one of the Iranian islands. All enemy movements are under full surveillance of our armed forces. If they step out of line, all the vital infrastructure of that regional country will, without restriction, become the target of relentless attacks. And again, take that with for whatever it's worth, with a grain of salt. But again, pairing that statement up with what we've seen as far as troop movements, as far as troop buildup, and again, even with the number of troops in the area, it's not a very substantial number, right? So again, it would seemingly kind of point to the action of taking something more small, something smaller in that regard, which is again kind of pointing to maybe Karg Island in that regard, in that effect. But it doesn't seem like, obviously, 5,000 troops or whatever the number of the troops is at this point right now, obviously isn't enough to do like a full-scale invasion on the fucking, on the territory of Iran or to push deeper into Iran. It's just not feasible with the number of troops that they have in there or the types of troops that they have in there, really. So kind of points to something more something smaller, more calculated. And again, which is people are, leading to suspect that might be Karg Island. It may be some of the islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz to try to open up the shipping channels. Again, but we're kind of at a wait and see right now. Did you see this one up top too? You see this one up top? Remember how Elon Musk decided to kind of come out and say that he was willing to pay the salaries of the TSA workers? Well, apparently, according to CBS, citing sources with knowledge of the matter, the White House has rejected Elon Musk's offer to pay the salaries of TSA workers who have been working without pay due to the Democrats' holdup of the Department of Homeland Security funding. As said here, said with somewhat of a bias, if I do say so myself on that one. Either that or he's just directly repeating some of the right-wing propaganda as it was written there, according to CBS, as you know. All right, yeah, we can dive into this in a little bit, but I just wanted to point that fact out too, that, as far as the possibility of boots on the ground, people are obviously still having to speculate on that. People are still trying to figure out what may be the target or targets, if indeed they do decide to go hands-on or boots on. But this is a CNN clip here where it talks about how Iran is laying traps on Karg Island as the U.S. weighs takeover. So let's see if we can get any more insight into maybe the defensive structures that they'll be running into, the retaliations that could come from this. And again, maybe some more insight into what the United States is thinking if, in fact, they are going to undertake this as far as boots on Iranian soil. Let's see if we can check this out. Hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blood Politics. I appreciate you guys for being here.
Iran building up its defenses on its Karg Island ahead of a potential U.S. ground operation, all as the Trump administration tries to find a diplomatic path to end the war. Sources familiar with U.S. intelligence reporting tell CNN Iran is laying traps and moving military personnel and air defenses to the tiny island that handles about 90% of the nation's crude exports. Sources also tell CNN the Pentagon is weighing a takeover of that island as a way to force the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. But there is concern among officials.
Now, I'm confused as to what Cog Island would have to do with reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which is, again, why I think you're having other people speculate that it could be, some of these other islands. I know this larger island here is a well-established spot in which, the Iranians have been launching their like sea drone attacks from. So again, whether or not it's one of these smaller islands which would kind of have, I think, more effect on the strait. But if they're talking about Cog Island, which is way back, in the not even in the Strait of Hormuz, like I'm not quite sure what, even if the U.S. troops were to hold that island, what that would have to do as far as getting shipping through the strait, as far as not allowing the Iranians to strike shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz. I'm kind of curious, like what the deal is, whether or not we're just going in there and hoping to capture the oil, and then hoping that the Iranians don't retaliate or don't booby trap or don't strike the U.S. forces that assumed would be on Cog Island at that point. I'm not quite sure what the plan is. Doesn't seem like there is one. Of course, if we're going going off anything we've seen so far in this war and the lack of leadership we've seen in it, you can almost guarantee that there's really no plan A, B, C, or D in this regard, and they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants.
Whether risks to U.S. troops outweigh the potential gain. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today offering little information about whether Congress would be called if even more troops are set to be deployed.
That formal authorization from Congress is not necessary because we're currently in major combat operations in Iran. The Department of War and the president, as I
Imagine
said,
the press secretary going out there and saying, we don't need anything required from the Congress because we're involved in this military operation, or we're involved in this huge theater of war right now. Like, that's exactly why we do need Congress. Like, what you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what the fuck we're talking about. That huge war that we're now involved in. Yeah, that's kind of why we needed the congressional approval. Like, that's why we kind of want them to kind of run it through all the peoples that we decided to put into office, right? Like, that's just how it works. That's how it's supposed to go typically. But as she goes on to state, it's like, well, we gave the original timeline was 4 to 6 weeks. Well, that's over 60 days as far as I'm concerned, right? Like, that's more than 60 days if it's going on the longer end of that timeline. So, I mean, where do you stand as far as that's concerned?
Estimated about a 4 to 6 week timeline for the full completion of these military combat operations. At this moment, it's unnecessary.
Military combat operations. Like, it gets me every time you hear the fucking United States government decidedly choose not to call it a war that we started in partnership with Israel, with the de facto president of the United States, Benjamin Netanyahu. But to sit here and watch the United States fucking government continuously call it like this special military operation, like, it's just unreal to have heard literally Putin say that the Russian government for the last 5 years, 5+ years, saying that same shit, the same propaganda, the same lies, right? Being told about their full-scale invasion in Ukraine. And now having to hear Donald Trump be like, well, that's the best we can go with, right? Let's just copy that. We'll just, nobody will notice that Vladimir Putin's been saying that for the last fucking 5 years. Like, jeez, it's unreal. It really is. But again, a double dose of this asshole, unfortunately, before we get into James O'Brien and LBC. I just wanted to show you a couple seconds of this. I had to show you a couple seconds of this because I know you've probably seen a few clips from it. But Jesus Christ, does it get any more embarrassing? Does it get any more insane? Like, this is quite literally the guy, like your grandfather at the home. If you were like, okay, let's remove him from the home and put him in and install him as president of the United States. Like, how do you think that would go? This is how it's going. This is like the exact shit that you would have to deal with, right? Like, no disrespect, but if you're a dementia riddled fucking family member, we're taken out of hospice, we're taken out of the care that they now have and installed as president of the United States, we probably wouldn't be in as bad a situation as we are right now with this senile son of a bitch. Okay. Just listen to some of this. We don't have to go into, a ton of this. You guys obviously get the gist of it by now, but holy shit, holy fucking shit. What are we doing, bro? What the fuck? You wonder why the world's laughing at us, right? You wonder why people are just mocking us all over, like relentlessly all over the planet. You wonder why there's a big fucking target painted on Americans' backs no matter where you go in this world right now. Like, people look at you and they're like, fuck you, right? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? If you didn't vote for him, you should be fucking rising up in the streets, and fuck you even more if you did vote for the fat orange son of a bitch, right? I mean, we heard that the story that went viral about the girl that was in the, what was it, the Irish pub there, right? And she was questioned on who she voted for, and it kind of went back and forth. And I forget how the story ended, but I mean, it was just a ridiculous story to go out there and tell people to make you seem like the victim in that one. Where it's like, that's happening all over the fucking place, and guaranteed, not only just to our citizens all over the place, but guess what? Now our military has those same targets on their backs right now, right? Because of the instability in the region, because now all of these fucking, these different factions that are now fighting to gain power where they see instability, right? That's what they thrive on, is instability. They thrive on chaos. They thrive on moments just like this, where people's fucking, focuses are they're distracted. Their attention is all over the place, so they're not able to focus on one main thing. It's crazy, but it is. Listen to some of this bullshit, though.
Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won.
This war has been won, which is exactly why we're sending more troops, which is exactly why we're sending more ships, which is exactly why we need $200 billion more to fight this war, which is exactly why we continuously see places like, Israel in their Iron Dome continuously penetrated, why we continuously see our allies in the regions, struck by whether it's drones or, ballistic missiles, right? That's why we still have drones, as we'll see in a couple of videos coming up, flying over U.S. bases in Baghdad from different proxies in the area now, willing to get into this. Is that why? Is that how? Is that why the Strait's still closed? Is that why we're still paying exorbitant prices at the pump? Because everything's won, everything's defeated. Their military is no longer. They have no capabilities. I mean, again, and the more he continues to say this, it's more like, okay, Grandpa, right, okay, sure. Whatever you say there, you eat your fucking slop, eat your mashed potatoes, Chief. This is what's going on. Like, the people in there, in this room, must know. Not only are they smelling Donald Trump's fucking shit, because he's probably shitting his pants at the same time, but they gotta know that this is not a good look by any regard. Not only for the fucking United States, but for their party, or them having to fucking follow this maniac and continuously make excuses for him. Right? Continuously defend his actions, continuously defend his statements, continuously defend the indefensible. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it continues.
The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times.
Which apparently is untrue, as you'll hear in maybe about a minute, because he goes on to say that Pete Hegseth also doesn't want this war to end. And also that Pete Hegseth said, we don't want to take the Iranian warships. We don't want to take their Navy ships into custody. We don't want to take them into port. We don't want to inspect them, right? We don't want to maybe utilize and kind of see what they're working with. We don't want any of that. We'd rather just sink them with their Navy members on them. We'd rather just do that. Oh, sorry. I think I moved it. Let me put that back on the screen. My apologies. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. There we go.
We're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down
and again, like everybody said, they don't need that capability, right? Again, that's false, considering some of the reporting that we'll see coming up in the show. Not only that, but the F-35 that was struck, excuse me. But I mean, they're still got the Strait closed. They're still having the same impact, if not a greater impact. Right now, they have more bargaining power. They have more leverage than they did before we started this war, right? If you're, seriously entered into negotiations and they're going to start putting forth lists of demands, seems like they have a better negotiating stance. Seems like they have more power on the world stage right now than they did before you obliterated their fucking Navy and obliterated their Air Force and all this bullshit, right? That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. Because if you're having these like great talks and you guys are, supposedly, again, this is all going off of the bullshit and the propaganda that you're hearing from this administration, but you're having such great talks and these deals are being passed back and forth, even though Iran has now told you to fucking pound sand, stick it straight up your ass as far as a ceasefire, as far as a deal is concerned. You and yourself negotiating, you and yourself dealings, lying to yourself, lying to the media about who you're talking to, what's coming from those talks. Like, shut the fuck. You think we believe that bullshit? Come on. This present that you supposedly got, right? Again, somebody probably donated or somebody probably snuck in a golden butt plug into Donald Trump's office. And he's like, this must have come from the Iranians. No doubt. They want a ceasefire. I've just never seen such a beautiful butt plug made of gold in my life. It's perfect.
Power plant, that very big, powerful power plant. They can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated.
Because it's not a fucking battle, you asshole. Right? Again, he continuously loves to make this seem like it's a World War II open space Kirk's type of tank battle. This is not this is not a symmetrical war. This is asymmetrical warfare we're saying right now. Okay. Again, I don't know how many times we have to repeat it, and I know I'm probably getting too far into this, considering that we can't explain anything to a fucking rock like this guy. And you guys probably have heard me say this 1,000 times, but they don't need those capabilities. Okay. They don't need it. Look at what's happening continuously. Look at where we are right now. They don't have those capabilities, apparently, and they're still got us in a fucking stranglehold. We still don't have the ability to open the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? We still don't have partners and allies that are all of a sudden going to jump to our fucking rescue in a war that you and Benjamin Netanyahu and Jared Kushner started so that nobody would talk about the fucking Donald Trump files with the mention of Jeffrey Epstein a couple times. Right? Again, NATO wasn't made to come to the defense or come to the help of a fucking NATO country that starts a war. NATO's there in defense if a NATO country gets attacked, not if you start the motherfucker. That's the opposite of what they're supposed to do. They're under no obligation to come to our fucking rescue, to come fight at our side, become in a war that they didn't start, right? In a war that didn't involve, an attack on a NATO ally or a NATO nation. That's not what the fuck NATO is. And after you've called NATO cowards and after you fucking run through our allies and demeaning every single one of them, talking about going after Greenland and breaking up NATO, why the fuck would they jump to your rescue? I sure the fuck wouldn't. I know that. But again, I don't want to subject you to too much of this guy. I know we got a lot to get into tonight. I often feel bad when I have to keep this guy on the screen too long for you for you guys. But, sometimes it's too wild and too crazy not to call out. Right? Like it's you can't just let it go on in the background. I know we've kind of done our due diligence and kind of, had our shows of going through everything that this guy says and calling out the nonsense and calling out the bullshit, which is everything that leaves his mouth. And I know I've kind of given everybody a break to that regard for a long time where, I'm pretty sure that you guys are, educated on how deranged this lunatic is and how dangerous he is. But every now and again, it's just like, you got to understand what everybody else is seeing too. Like, because everybody else that does continuously watch the nightly news or look at the clips from this asshole or people that are not from the United States, like, they're still hearing this stuff. Like, this is the shit that they hear. I'll be happy to take over Cuba. Or, I'll have the honor of taking over Cuba as the U.S. president. Like, this shit is fucking nuts, okay? Like, I know it's been normalized. I know I've heard it and shit like it 1,000 trillion times since he, started his political office, but it cannot be normalized, okay? This cannot fucking, be allowed to stand as something that people can continue to get away with as far as rhetoric, because it's insane. It is absolutely insane. All right, let's dive off of, old fucking saggy neck here and dive on to our next clip, which is going to be the James O'Brien clip. I wanted to play earlier, didn't have the time to do so, but more than happy to dive into it now with you guys. And basically, this is titled "The Man's Mad." Right. And I don't think there needs to be too much introduction. I don't need to set the table too much in order for you to figure out what the fuck's going on as far as this is. But there's a few parts in this. I want to play the beginning and then we'll kind of skip through a few parts, a few pieces of this, if I may. Again, this is shout out to LBC. Shout out to James O'Brien, Mr. J.O.B. Follow him and follow LBC wherever you can. They do some great work. At least I can vouch for James O'Brien's contributions to LBC. They do have a few nut jobs in and around there, as they all do, right? But all right, let's dive into a few minutes of this. And again, this is titled "The Man's Mad. James O'Brien Reacts to Latest White House Claims." Let's check it out. Hit that like button. I appreciate you guys, man.
36% of American voters.
I'm going to grab a drink. I'm going to let this play real quick.
I just want you to tell me why. 0345 6060973. Because I'm going to give you a little more evidence. And I suppose part of the answer is going to have to be that they don't know what is going on. And we do, because we can hear things like this.
Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. the only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it.
So why are you still there?
I think the question is, why can't you do a thing about it? Right? Wouldn't that be the question to be asked? Like, if you have such overwhelming success, if you have such overwhelming control of the region, if you have planes flying fucking willy-nilly, picking out random targets because they're under no threat of ground defenses, right? Or ground to air missiles or whatever the hell it may be. Like, if there's nothing else that the Iranians can do, why the fuck is the Strait of Hormuz still closed? Why the fuck can we not get the oil through the Strait of Hormuz? Why do they still have a stranglehold on the strait? Why is the Bab el-Mandeb now becoming more and more a reality, looking like there's going to be some action taken as far as rerouting global shipping around that as well? I'm just questions asked. Tucker Carlson made a pretty good goddamn living just asking ridiculous questions. So, follow suit maybe. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go on.
Champ. And why are you sending more troops? Why are you asking for help? Why are you attacking NATO for not doing enough to help? Why are you threatening them with more war that's over? Why are you threatening them with more war when there is?
You see his face, and he's trying to calculate this in his brain. Look at that face right there. Look at him. He's like, why are you asking for $200 billion more in a war that's already over? Like, how do you he's trying to calculate it in his head in real time, and it's like, you can't take it that seriously, right, James? You can't. Don't go through it that deeply, because you'll throw yourself into a tizzy, and you'll never understand, the rhetoric. You'll never understand kind of the hypocrisy that this guy throws out in the same goddamn sentence, just not to be understood at this point. But look at this. He's like, what the fuck?
War that's over. Why are you threatening them with more war when there is no war? Because the war is already won. And listen to the fake news claim there. And that is just off the charts. But 36% of Americans still like it. Do you remember the joint plan of action that was signed by Barack Obama? And
I'm just going to skip ahead just a touch where he goes into, I think, one of the other clips there from this same thing as well. So I'll go into where he plays this, and we'll get his reaction to it.
They're talking to us, and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Just, I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
I thought they had one. I thought that's why they had to go to war. Or was that 9 months ago? Or was that 3 weeks ago? Or is that next year? I don't know. But I do know this. In April 2017, the US certified that Iran was complying with the deal that Barack Obama had negotiated and signed. In July 2017, the US certified that Iran was complying with the deal that Barack Obama had negotiated and signed. So that's April, everything's going well. July, everything's going well. October, President Trump announced that he would not make the certification required for reasons that he never really specified. And now he's back to, and he'll do it, he'll sign something that's not quite as good as...
Flax, what's up, brother? Good to see you, my dude. Good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate that, my dude. He says, straight to hell. Love you, brother. Love to all my fellow Briantologists. I'll be watching later on TV after I share. Thank you all in advance for your warm greetings. Love you right back at you, Slacks. Appreciate you and your kind contributions, my friend. Always good to see you here.
What Obama did, and claim that it is an extraordinary victory. Are you ready for an update on regime change? Are you ready for an update on regime change?
I mean, can you understand? Can you see how they're mocking us? Can you see how ridiculous they find this? It doesn't take much to see through James O'Brien in this regard, because he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. But, they find this to be utterly ridiculous. This is utterly insane to normal people, okay? This is just, it's so far beyond, anything that we could have, I don't think prepared for at this point. We're at that level. We're at that level where it's just even people that understand how deluded and how disgusting these people are continuously shocked by how stupid and careless and inhumane and corrupt these people are. Like that's on a daily basis. You can still covering it this long as we've been around doing this, as much as we've dived into all of these clips, all of these bad actors, as well versed as we are in all of these assholes, right? Even now, we're still like, holy fucking shit. Like, this is absolutely insanity what we're going through right now. And, you're right if you think that. You are right.
What does regime change look like?
We killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that. But let's see how they turn out.
He's talking about killing the new group. I just want to clarify that last sentence where he didn't want to go through and say and finish it like he finished the last and previous statement. He's talking about the people that they're talking to, the fake people that they're talking to right now. Like he's talking about fake killing them, the fake people that they're having fake negotiations with at this point. Like mashed potatoes, Grandpa. Like that's what I'm talking about. This is like the insanity of the fucking moment that we have to live through. Like this is why people are like aging so quickly nowadays, because it's like we're trying to sift through this bullshit. It's like, okay, what does he mean with this one? Okay, he said two contradictory things in the same fucking sentence. Where do we go? It's like you got me by the tail. I really, again, covered it for the last 10 years. I just gotta take it as it comes and tries to call it out and figure it out what's actually going on the ground and not based on anything this guy says. Obviously, that's probably the easiest route.
Regime change. This is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with.
Yep.
That
Same family, just a little bit younger, more hardlined, more fucking, more fanatical connections, and will be in power for a longer time to come. And is much more pissed off considering he killed a shitload of people in his family and other families and bombed a whole shitload of schools and children and women and all that. So they're going to be really fucking pissed off, right? Which is why they continuously sent back replies of like missile launches as you were sending them like this so-called 15-point plan that Caroline Leavitt now says isn't and wasn't really sent by the White House. The whole thing is fucking, it's crazy. That it's just the most ridiculous way to go about fighting a war led by the most incompetent and fucking self-righteous sons of bitches that are so stupid that they've now continuously dog-walked us, or been dog-walked by the de facto president of the United States, Benjamin Netanyahu, right into this fucking situation that we have right now, where we're allowing Russia and Iran to sell their oil, right? Iran ships are still going through the strait. They're still making their money. A country that we're at war at, still allowing them to sell their oil, but also getting presents from while we're continuously bombing. As we're talking about boots on the ground, try to make the fucking sense out of that one. I dare you. I dare you. Like you'll be in a home by the end of the night. Okay. They'll have you in an insane asylum by the end of the goddamn night, trying to figure that one out. But how do you do it? You know what I mean? What do you do in this situation?
created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
No, same regime, same name. What's the name of that regime that was there before? The Khomeini regime? Okay, what's the name of this regime that's in place right? Oh, the Khomeini regime. Oh, fuck. All right, it's almost like that whole Maduro thing, right? It's like what regime was in charge in Venezuela? The Maduro regime. What fucking regime's in charge in Venezuela now? The Maduro regime. Like, shit. Like, that's not going to work either. We thought we had that one, but fuck. Like, hello?
Currently believed to be his son, right? Meet the new guy. Literally the same as the old, 50% of the same DNA as the old guy, let alone the same politics, although arguably he's even more hardline and extreme. So, I mean, what do you reckon? If you piped this in...
See, this is what it leads you to. This is like the same, this is what you can hope for.
Hardline and extreme. So, I mean, what do you
that
reckon?
Look right there. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? Like, how do you make heads or tails of this? How do you, like, dissect this? How do you do political commentary on something so delusional, so insane, said by somebody so clearly out of his fucking mind? Like, how do you be a broadcast? How do you be a fucking a political commentator and, try to dissect that in a normal way? You know what I mean? Like, I feel your pain, bro. I feel your fucking pain. I've been doing this for 10 years, 10 plus years at this point. 10 plus years at this point, dealing with this fucking guy.
If you piped this into every home in America, would the 36% figure fall? 36% approval rating. I'm going to play it again. I love it when the clips come together. To paraphrase. And he said Hannibal Lecter then. I'm thinking of Hannibal Smith, right? Just not allowed to smoke cigars in the studio. So have another listen to this and watch that 36% approval rating.
And again, we'll just get his take on the other side of this clip, and then we'll dive on. We got a bunch more videos to dive onto. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and again, we'll dive on after we get his take after this clip.
Just tell me what it does.
We killed all their leadership, and then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out. We have really regime change. You know, this is a change in the regime because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with.
Again, the thing that was originally the goal, but then was quickly wiped off the slate of goals as far as being something that they could enact, knowing that whatever they were doing would require boots on the ground to make sure that that was completely gone through with, right? And now what they've basically done, as we've continued to talk about, is put in somebody younger, more hardlined, right? Somebody that's going to be in power much longer than the Ayatollah, considering the drastic age difference, right? Somebody that's going to be more pissed off considering what's happened to his country, how many people, not only in his family, but in others surrounding him, have been murdered. You know, the children in the hospitals and the schools that have been killed, have been struck. You know, it's like, you think they're going to be more amicable? You think they're going to be more friendly? You think we're going to be in a better position than we were? Like, it's clearly nobody thinks that, right? Nobody thinks that whatsoever. It's easy to see, which is why you continuously see so many goddamn people, kind of flipping the script, as it were, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens. I think Lauren Boebert has even spoke up to a point. Nancy Mace had a couple posts that I saw as far as, not signing on to sending, men and women from South Carolina in order to fight on Iranian soil. So again, a lot of people speaking up against this, people that would normally be, stride and stride right behind Donald Trump, no matter what he did, are now having problems with every aspect of this. All right, let's dive into, what do you say? We do this for the next video. What was the next one that I wanted to get into? Was it this one? Let's get into this one. Let's get into this one, because I think this is probably pertaining to the same thing. And I wanted to watch this earlier, but I didn't want to risk it. And again, this is from the YouTube channel called Cappy Army. Again, right hand up, accountability. Not familiar with the inner workings or the dealings of this channel. I don't know what it's associated with, who it's associated with, what they've ascribed before, or anything like that, but I saw a little portion of this video, and I thought it was very well done as far as kind of giving us some insight as to what might be going on in the minds of Pete Hegseth, what they might be trying to do as far as utilizing the U.S. military to either go after Karg Island or any number of the smaller islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz. Again, we don't have to watch this entire thing, but I thought at least the first couple minutes would give us some pretty good insight. Wanted to watch it with you guys. So again, hit that like button. Again, shout out and credit where credit is due to, what was it again? Cappy Army. And this is how U.S. forces are trying to open Iran's Strait of Hormuz. See if we can dive into this real quick. Appreciate you guys.
Today, we're going to examine how the U.S. military is deploying new tactics in an attempt to forcefully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And on the other hand, we'll analyze the strategies that the Iranian IRGC are using to keep the strait closed. We're going to untangle the confusing mixed signals. On the one hand, the U.S. government is signaling a peace deal is near, while at the same time moving ground troops closer into position. What does it all mean? The entire outcome of the war now hinges on this battle, because with the strait closed, 20% of the world's entire oil supply is cut off for the first time ever in history, which means
before and after is wild, huh? Look at the before the war, right?
The entire outcome of the war now hinges on this battle, because with the strait closed, 20% of
the war, the traffic through the strait, and now watch after since the war started.
The world's entire oil supply is cut off for the first time ever in history.
Again, the ships that already had deals with and partnerships with the IRGC to continuously make it through that strait are being allowed through the strait. So you can see the passage of those very few ships compared to what is like just before the war started.
Means entire countries from Europe to Asia are suddenly operating on a ticking timer that's counting down before reaching economic collapse. Close enough, Welcome back the Crusades. The IRGC is not running a traditional maritime blockade of the strait with a bunch of ships sitting out in the water.
They don't need
They
to.
are deploying a layered denial strategy of drones and mines that spread out from the coast. So far, they've struck over 20 commercial vessels, which has dropped traffic to essentially 0 ships that aren't already pre-authorized by the IRGC to pass. Iran's strategy is simply to cause enough economic damage to America's partners that they pressure the US and Israel to accept very unfavorable negotiated peace terms from Iran. Maybe Iran asks
Which is
for
exactly why you've had to see the Trump administration work so hard in the background to try to do anything and everything they possibly can, which does include allowing both Russia and Iran to continuously sell its oil to make sure that there's enough oil on the market to make sure that the price of oil doesn't go even more high, even higher than it is right now, which is, again, trying to keep the pressure on his regime down to end this, considering that's the secondary impacts that we feel, which is, again, showing that the stranglehold that Iran still has and continues to have on the world economy, on the Strait of Hormuz, is continuously being effective, right? And again, as we continuously see them being able to lob missiles in and around the region continuously still.
reduce sanctions. Maybe they ask for control of Cuba. Who knows? But that's why in mid-March, the U.S. military started using a new strategy in an attempt to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. They began dropping the new GBU-72 advanced penetrator bombs for the first time ever on these coastal locations here. These 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs hit multiple fortified targets along Iran's coastline, digging deep into the earth and exploding.
So this is why that people are suspecting, or at least I've heard a few people suspecting, that some of these territories, some of these, the island, or some of the, kind of the bases or installations in and around the strait could also be utilized as far as the 82nd of the Marines that we've seen been sent into the region already. But also as far as Cog Island, a lot of people speculating that could be the target as well, or one of the targets, depending on, again, what the actions are meant to be, if in fact they are going to put boots on the ground in this region. Again, people using their best guesses to speculate as to what is going to happen from here on out.
Fortified targets along Iran's coastline, digging deep into the earth and exploding. Part of the U.S. government's goal with these strikes is to pressure Iran to agree to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is something they could claim as a victory. They're targeting here for three strategic reasons, I think, that we'll get into. First, because so far, the main weapons that Iran has managed to hit commercial oil tankers with are short-range unmanned surface vessels, or USVs. They're cheap.
Again, I think he even shows a quick clip of this, but the IRGC, the Iranian military, has put out clip after clip after clip. And again, take it with a grain of salt, for whatever it's worth, coming out from who it's coming out from. But they have shown us tunnel after tunnel after tunnel, mile after mile after mile of these underground kind of, underground railways and routes and roads that these boats have kind of just been lined up for miles in. So they got a substantial amount of these things, the same way that they have the ability to continuously produce the Shaheds and the drones that they use. So again, this is another reason why this is a huge problem.
Work against targets that are naked and defenseless. According to naval expert H.I. Sutton, he believes these seaborne drones are responsible for most of the damage done to tankers in the contested waterways so far. But these weapons have the downside of needing to be launched from close proximity.
That right there. So this right here is footage that was put out by the Iranian military, and this was them just walking down these hallways. You can see these boats, these kind of drone boats that they've been using. They're just lined up on trailers this whole entire runway, this whole entire hallway. And again, they put out a multitude of these videos to prove that they had ample number of these things to make sure that they could affect the damage or affect the pressure on the Strait of Hormuz that they've continuously been able to affect on it.
Near the shores. Take a look at this section of the Strait of Hormuz here. Notice how there are multiple tiny islands. You've got the Hormuz, you've got the Lakark, and most importantly, the Kashim Island. This is where the headquarters of the IRGC's deep underground bases are located, and it's where they launched these attacks from. Why do they need to hit from close range? Because oil tankers move at about 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour, which sounds very slow, but it's fast enough that they're difficult to target from long range. The reason for this is Iran lacks GPS guidance and they lack the type of sophisticated seekers for hitting moving tankers. There is a misconception that Iran is blocking the strait when it's more accurate that they're simply
Which is
making
why,
it
to me, it would seem more likely and much more successful that they would try to take over these regions if, in fact, again, they do pull the trigger and decide to put boots on the ground in any of these islands or surrounding areas of Iranian territory. But wouldn't it make more sense that they would go in and try to control these sites that the Iranians are having the success in launching from, as opposed to taking Karg Island way off in the distance? I don't understand what effect that would have on Karg Island. Honestly, that would just open the U.S. service members on that island at the time that are occupying the island up for, to be struck in retaliation. Again, other than that, and trying to occupy the oil coming from Karg Island, don't know really what the benefit would be. I don't think that would, initially make the Iranians capitulate or give up their control over the strait at all. I think it would just make them focus more on it. Not only that, but on other aspects and geographical areas in which they could, apply pressure to, like the Bab el-Mandeb that we continuously talk about.
too dangerous to use for ships aligned with the United States. If only 3% of Iran's munitions hit ships, that's still too high of a risk for commercial shipping to accept.
And what did we tell you? What have we been telling you here? They don't necessarily even need to fucking hit these ships. They don't need to continuously send 100, 200, 300, 500 drones into the strait every single day in order to have this economic impact that we've seen already, right? They just need to be able to threaten it. They just need to be able to lob a drone every now and again into this area, get lucky every now and again, and send a drone, a sea drone into one of these ships. That's all they got to do to make sure that the companies themselves, the insurance companies, just don't take the chance. The same way they're not taking the chance through the Bab el-Mandeb already, as we've seen some of the shipments coming from Asia going into the European markets have had to do, going all the way around the Horn of Africa, or coming from Europe and going all the way the Horn of Africa to try to make it to the European markets in reverse. Again, adding time, adding fuel costs, right? Adding insurance costs onto every single trip, which is going to filter down to you and I, whatever it may be, whether it's shoes, sneakers, hats, clothes, food, stuff you use for the house, whether it's goods we use and need and chemicals we need for farming and stuff. Like all of these are going to be impacted. Whether it's fertilizer, name something that, again, gets to you via plane, train, ship, or automobile, and that's going to be impacted by this.
These munitions are depending on old school radio waves, basically. It's a cheap, dirty, effective method, but it forces the IRGC to get into a close range fight.
These are the videos
strategically, what that means on the bigger picture is that the U.S. military doesn't need to clear the entire country of Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. needs to clear a threat of about 300 miles or 500 kilometers of coastline and roughly 35 miles inland to control the Strait of Hormuz. And
but again, what danger does that open up our troops to? Do you think fucking the IRGC is just going to let us control that little section of their territory, right? You think they're not going to retaliate? You think they're not going to send in drones and fucking guided missiles into that place that we have just stationed our troops in, that we have just illegally occupied in this fucking illegal war that we started in the first place? So right now, the biggest issue that we face is something that came only because we decided to take on this fucking war with Israel. I don't necessarily recall the fucking Strait of Hormuz being a huge talking point before this war started. I don't necessarily see that being a big problem. I don't remember that being reported on the front page of all the newspapers and headlines of all the mainstream media. I don't recall that. Maybe I was missing something, but it seems like this is a fucking a straight fucking follow-up, right? A direct result because of the war that we undertook. Now we're paying the price and dealing with this huge and massive problem that we don't seem to have a fucking answer for, besides boots on the ground in either some of the surrounding islands or on Iran, the mainland in particular, to control whatever it is, 300 square kilometers. Like Iran's just gonna be like, sure, go ahead. Don't worry about it. You guys can have that territory. Believe me, we won't fire back. We won't decide to fucking strike into that area. Like, what are we thinking here? And which is why he brought up at the beginning of the video, kind of whether or not they're weighing the risk to our troops to the benefit that would come out of this. But it doesn't seem like something that the military leadership now and Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump is something that they're like calculating or taking into calculations or even thinking about is the risk to our troops versus the benefit to us as a country just doesn't seem to be on the table.
Because if you look at the topographical map of Iran, a steep mountain range begins once you go a little bit inland from the strait. This geography makes it difficult to launch line-of-sight attacks from here. Question is, why doesn't Iran just sit back and launch long-range attack drones at the strait from 500 kilometers away? For example, Iran's Shahed attack drone has a range of over 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles. But they would have a very difficult time targeting commercial ships with these that are on the move. And this is because
they don't need to. They don't fucking need to. They don't need this like ridiculous accuracy to be able to pick off these ships. They just got to send one overhead. They just got to splash one within a fucking couple miles of a ship. Okay. And that would be enough to trigger the fact that, okay, I don't want to send my ships. I don't want to send my sailors. I don't want to send my crew and risk their lives. If the next one doesn't land 2-3 miles away, if the next one does come down on top of our vessel, like that's all it fucking takes. The same way that it only takes threats, the way that we showed the threats earlier on, this one here, like we've been trying to tell people, that was about Cog Island, but we've been talking about earlier the threats to the Bab el-Mandeb. Where did I have that pulled up? Oh yeah, it was this one right here. Where the Iranian officials have again threatened to open another front in the conflict in and around the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Red Sea. The statements made to Tasnim News alluded to the possible entrance of Houthis into the conflict as Iranian officials increasingly tease the expansion of the resistant front's involvement. At the time of writing, the Houthis are the only major arm of the Iranian-backed axis of resistance that has not gotten involved in the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Right. And again, we've continuously talked about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and what that would mean as far as shipping on a global example. So to kind of put it into perspective, that it wouldn't take very much, doesn't necessarily take you being there with guns and bombs and drones and fucking mines and stuff like that. Just the threat sometimes. And we played on the show earlier today that ships and companies are already going the long way around just to avoid any supposed trouble, just to avoid any trouble that may come in that area, to make sure that they don't lose their cargo. They'd rather pay the exorbitant, extra prices because they know they're going to pass it down to the consumer rather than lose the entire shipment before it gets to stores and then they have to fucking foot the bill. That's just what it is. They'd rather put it on your back than pay for it themselves. So they're going to go the long way around and say, fuck it, we're just going to charge double, right, when it gets there. Or we're going to add this amount on to it or this percentage on to whatever good you're buying. That way it's not coming out of our pockets. We'll happily go the long way around if we're going to make double the price on it. That's crazy. All right, we move on, though. James does a pretty good job in that last video. What was the one? Oh, here it is right here. I want to throw this back on because I think there's only a couple other points in this that I wanted to play, and then we can move on to our next video as I jumble them all up in a mess as I did. But again, yeah, let's throw this one back on. I appreciate you guys.
Shahed drones are mostly only effective against a fixed point. Shaheds are programmed to hit
the Strait of Hormuz is. Right? Again, don't necessarily have to be attacking the ships going through, but if they can hey, that Strait of Hormuz hasn't moved in a long fucking time, maybe we should put in those coordinates and we could just lob them in willy-nilly. If we hit something, we hit something. If we don't, at least they know that we have the capabilities. That's what we continuously bring up here. And what people just don't seem to understand, where they're like, well, they got no Navy, they got no Air Force, they got this, they've attacked over 10,000 targets. Well, does it seem like any of that fucking matters to you? Does your life seem better? Are you paying less at the gas pump now? Huh? Or are things getting fucking exponentially worse? Is there more instability? Is Israel expanding this war into Lebanon? Right? Are we seeing more and more millions of displaced people? Are we seeing more and more hospitals and health clinics hit and children dying and war crimes committed? Like, I'm just like, are you seeing more troops or less troops sent in there? Are you seeing troops being pulled home? Are you seeing troops come home? Are you seeing more deployed? Are you seeing more warships coming home? Are you seeing more go into the area? Are they requesting to give back $200 billion or they're requesting to get $200 billion more for this war? Because I'm confused with the rhetoric. If we won in 2 days, everything's been obliterated. What the fuck are we still doing? Just curious.
Static location like a building in Bahrain that's not going to get up and move anywhere. Most Shahed attack drones cannot.
And again, no disrespect to this gentleman here doing this video, but nor will the Strait of Hormuz get up and walk away anytime soon. Okay. I understand the ships are moving targets. I understand the speed that they're traveling at and all that nonsense. But again, to think and to suggest that they need the innate ability or the exact ability to take out every ship that goes through there is redonkulous. It's just not the case. Hasn't been the case at any point up until now. And look at what we've seen take place there. Look at the effect and the secondary impacts that you guys in the chat, you beautiful fucking souls in the chat there, have felt on your daily lives, right? Above and beyond, being stripped of your health care, being removed from Medicaid, right? Hearing about cancer research funding for kids being stripped, your Social Security information being looked into by Doge, any one of the things that we've seen now where this administration has clearly trampled on the rights and basically the livelihoods of everybody in this country. So again, all right. So I thought this was rather well done, at least explaining what possibly could come out of the U.S. military as far as, the targets they're looking at as we continue to talk about boots on the ground, as we continue to talk about things like, them sending in the 82nd Airborne or, elements of the 82nd Airborne. Like it only leads and kind of points to one thing happening. And it's just whether or not, what direction that's going to happen in or when it's going to happen. If at all it's going to happen is kind of the question. So, all right, we dive into this next one. Here's Preston Stewart. And again, we did already talk about one of these videos that he did where he was bringing up, the FPV drone flying over, I believe it was the Liberty base, if I'm not mistaken, the last video that he had. But this one is above, I believe, a base in Baghdad. This is FPV drones enter the Iran war. Are we ready? And again, the short answer to that is absolutely not, considering the lack of defenses, the lack of planning put into this war, right? The lack of any, off ramps, the lack of any plans A, B, C, and D, just in case this, that, or the other thing would happen. Nothing was prepared for. Total lack of preparation. So we only have to go into a few minutes of this, just kind of detailing the ongoing and ever-growing drone threat around the U.S. bases in the area and how these different proxies and these different people are now getting involved. And again, it seems to be expanding rather than contracting as far as this war is concerned. All right, check it out. Hit that like button. I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate Preston for putting together these videos, keeping us up to speed, keeping us educated on what's been taking place. Again, hit that like button and let's get to 20,000 subscribers. It's only with your help we're going to get there. All right. Appreciate you guys.
So we've reached the phase in the war where Iranian FPV drones are striking American equipment at bases in Iraq. We also had
now, is that a sentence? Is that a statement typically said by the winning side? Right? Like if you've completely obliterated the other side's military capabilities, like is that typically a sentence you'd be hearing? Like now's the time we're going to start seeing FPV drones just flying willy-nilly over U.S. bases in the area, seemingly with no defenses in place. Nobody sitting there ready to take that thing out of the sky, seemingly just kind of flying willy-nilly, testing out the different reaction times in different defensive places, getting the lay of the land as far as the U.S. bases are concerned. Should concern everybody. Definitely doesn't seem like the winning side, the winning military would allow this to happen. I don't know.
A 30-day ceasefire proposed by the United States yesterday that Iran overnight seems to have rejected. Now, starting out with this clip that was released by Iranian-backed Iraqi Shia militias, shows a number of FPV drone strikes in Camp Liberty, Iraq. And what you're going to see in this video is an AN/MPQ-64 Sentinel radar get hit, as well as a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter, medevac helicopter, actually. Now, Camp Liberty.
And again, this isn't like just enter the base, pick out a quick target, strike it, and get the hell out of there so that nobody, like, this is fly around. Let's get the lay of the land, right? Let's record everything that we could possibly record. Let's get the positions of their helicopters. Let's get the positions of their barracks. Let's get where they fucking, they go to the mess hall. Let's get all that geolocated. Let's get all that on camera so we can send it back to base. We'll get all that information. And then the next time we want to send in, 40 of these attack drones, 40 of these FPV drones, we can do even more damage, right? But again, doesn't necessarily seem like a military that has it all under control and doesn't have anything to worry about.
Used to have a massive U.S. presence. It's been significantly dialed down, but we do still have a presence there. And from my understanding, the Iraqis don't fly Black Hawk helicopters. They fly Bell 412s and Mi-8s. That actually looks like a medevac helicopter with it looks like the militia tried to blur out the fact.
So let's just see, just for shits and giggles, what was that radar installation?
Black Hawk helicopters. They fly Bell 412s and Mi-8s. That is actually looks like a medevac.
So it's an AN MPQ 64. Let's just see, just for shits and giggles. I'm curious what one of those costs, right? Just to kind of put this in perspective. MQ dash 64 Sentinel cost. Let's see. Just curious, just out of curiosity. The AN MPQ 64 Sentinel radar generally costs between $5 million and $7 million per unit. Jesus H. Christ. Often sold in packages such as the 2016 Egypt request for 8 systems for $70 million, approximately $8.7 million, $8.75 million per unit. Sentinel A4 upgrade. 2019, the U.S. Army awarded a $281 million contract to Lockheed Martin for 18 of these advanced radar systems. So again, each one of these taken out by what would say a $1,500 drone is between 5, 7, or let's say even between up to 8.75, considering what they're selling for. You know, that's money out of our pocket. Obviously, that isn't going to be sold and obviously isn't going to be used to defend anything. But again, being clearly a broadcast, if not struck directly by this like $1,200, $1,000, $500 drone, you can see kind of the cost effectiveness and why they would continue to put these drones up and go after this equipment, especially if they're taking out, Black Hawk helicopters. I mean, again, no need to look into the price of one of those. It's expensive.
Helicopter with it looks like the militia tried to blur out the fact that there was a red cross on this side. But either way, what this is pointing to is that our forces are vulnerable.
Yeah, you can see you can see the drone. So there's a drone watching another drone hit that radar installation on the bottom of your screen.
Not look like we have taken the FPV threat
Boom
seriously.
There's $5 to $7 million taken out right there.
We've had 4 years to figure this out, but we still have helicopters, expensive helicopters, sitting out in the open, radar sitting out unprotected. Personally, I'm not convinced that based off the footage that we've seen, that we have taken the adequate defensive measures to protect our troops and our equipment from this threat.
And again, people that have served before, people that have knowledge of these, installations, people have knowledge of the defenses that should be undertaken, especially when at war, when this is a direct threat in the region. And we just got our helicopter station there, right? Like it's fucking Pearl Harbor. We got all our planes lined up wing to wing so that the Japanese come in, drop 1 or 2 bombs, and take them all out. It doesn't really seem like any thought was put into this. Doesn't seem like any defensive work or defensive structures are being built and erected due to the threat posed by, again, these Iranian proxies or the militias that they have in place in these different areas. No secondary thought taken to this, right? Nothing whatsoever as far as planning or coordination or having any precise tactics being used. Even this deep into the war, right? Like you'd think by now they'd be like, okay, we got to lock down these bases. We need to get the appropriate air defense systems in and around all of these bases that could have, any militias, any proxies in the area that could attack, like whatever it may be. Like, get these people the defenses they need. And you got people sitting here calling it out like, hey, if you're able to fly around a U.S. base with an FPV drone for God knows how long, enough time to get all of these photographs, enough time to strike a couple helicopters and take out a $7 million radar installation, then clearly something ain't fucking right. And it clearly doesn't seem like you guys are the ones in control over there. I'm just saying.
And one of the concerns here is that if Iran surges this capability quickly, and we know they have it, right? There was a picture that came out earlier today, supposedly of an Iranian soldier on Karg Island showing an FPV drone. We know Iran has FPVs, all right? Not a surprise at all. The question is going to be, how many fiber optic FPVs do they have, out to what range? That's the real question. How many, of what type, not do they have them at all? And we've got this weird mindset that I've been able to pick up, that I've noticed recently, where so long as we do not deploy troops into Iran, they aren't actually going to be at risk of being hit by these drones. That couldn't be further from the truth. Look at Operation Spiderweb, where Ukrainian drone operators in the SBU took out a number of Russian strategic aircraft deep inside of Russia at their military airfields.
And again, it just doesn't seem like, and we'll end that clip on that point there, but it just doesn't seem like, not only to a larger extent has no planning been put into this current war, but it doesn't seem like any lessons have been learned from the brutal Russian invasion of Ukraine, okay, and the drastic change in warfare that we've seen on that battlefield, right, on that front. The drastic capabilities, the drastic change in capabilities of drone warfare. and how that's completely shifted the battlefield and what, warfare looks like going forward. Like, it doesn't seem like they've picked up on any of the things that we should have been learning for the last 5 years plus, working in direct connection with the Ukrainian military to make sure that we were at the head, we were at the forefront of this drone technology, to make sure that nobody was getting a leg up on us if in fact we did need to defend ourselves or undertake whatever was going on in the future. Anything like that? No, it doesn't seem like we've learned a lesson. We've shunned all of their fucking help, right? We've basically given up as a country on assisting Ukraine directly, and we've done absolutely nothing to make sure that we learn the lessons that seemingly all of these other surrounding nations have learned looking at the war in Ukraine. Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane and the rest of these bastards don't seem to want to use those tactics, seem to think that they know better. And the way that they're going about things is way more successful. And it just couldn't be further from the case. Again, if you got $1,500 drones taking out $5 and $7 million radar installations, that's a big fucking problem. That's really sustainable for the people on the other side and not so sustainable for the fucking people on our side. That's just how that goes. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit, if I may. Enough with the Strait of Hormuz and Iran for just a second. If we could kind of dive into some Tim Pool, whatever his fucking name is. I like to see him whine and complain and bitch all the time. So he's got an opportunity to do more of that right here, ladies and gentlemen, because he's got to report to his fucking fans that the Democrats did indeed flip a seat that includes the residents of Mar-a-Lago, right? We did, in fact, have to, or if I should say, Tim did, in fact, have to report that to his fans. And again, it's not going good for Tim. So we can just take a look back. Let me go back into, you can see his kind of his thumbnail action. So this could be the end for all of us. Probably not something that he saw he was going to be, putting as far as a title onto videos when his dear leader got a second term. What's another one? They've been caught talking about Kash Patel and his girlfriend. This is about to get really bad. That's the one that we're going to watch now. This could get really bad, and that's talking about the disapproval or the shift as far as young men voting for Donald Trump and how he's kind of losing the support as far as that category is concerned. This is getting too crazy. Something about Joe Kent. It says Joe Kent, something testify in a trial at Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. Not sure what that's all about. Okay, this proves it. I mean, he's got a bunch of these where this will not end well, right? Talking about the war in Iran. I don't think he saw that this is going to be the place right now. Just a little over a year into Donald Trump's second term that he was so desperate to see. Like these are the videos that he was going to be putting that he'd have to put out. All right, let's see which one are we going to dive into. This could get really bad. Which one did I put up? I forget now. I can just go forward.
Yesterday,
let's dive into
Tim
this
cast on
again,
IRL,
I said, this is Tim having to sulk into a corner to tell his fans that there are some red flags out there, and the GOP should be paying attention, and that this is not good, as did a lot of right-wing commentators. I think there was people like Owen Schroyer and others that also had tweets out there putting the highlight or spotlighting this win in particular and being like, well, what the fuck is this all about? But check this out. This is Tim trying to put the best spin on this, I guarantee you, as far as what this means going forward.
Yesterday, before Tim cast IRL, I was speaking with Carolyn Wren, our guest, about Palm Beach. And she said that Donald Trump had endorsed a Republican for state house rep in Palm Beach. And I said,
many times, actually.
He's a shoe and he's going to win.
Yeah.
And then as the night went on, we learned the Democrats flipped Palm Beach. I kid you not. This was an R+11 district.
Oh, I wish I had some popcorn. I wish I had some fucking popcorn or something to snack on right now. All right, I'll get my cold beverage, I guess. I'll get my nice cold beverage, and we can all sit nice and warm together and watch Tim Pool have to squirm through his fucking screen to report that the Democrats seem to be in the driver's seat as far as midterm elections are concerned. And it's even getting a little bit more likely, again, not to put the fucking cart before the horse, but that Senate not looking so great. Not looking so great anymore, considering the polling that we've seen in the elections and the election results that we've seen come out of this. So again, try to spin this in some way. I know you got it. Your hat's on tight enough. I'm sure you got something cooking up there.
R+11, and Trump lost his own home. Now that's apocalyptic, but it's not.
Trump lost his own home is wild. Trump lost his own home. Tim Pool having to report that, like, again, just a little over a year into Trump's second presidency is fucking wild. Trump lost his own home. Oh, shit. All right, Tim. Sorry. Not sorry.
Because Democrats have better arguments. It's not because people have decided the Republican Party is bad, sort of. It's because men left. That's it. All that is required for evil to triumph is that good men do nothing. And in this sense,
sorry, you think there was a bunch of good men in this specific Florida district that did nothing, and that allowed the Democrats to win, even though you just came out and said that Donald Trump endorsed the Republican candidate several goddamn times, which should have made it a shoo-in, especially since the goddamn son of a bitch's home is in that same district. You know, the home that's not really his home, but people like to call his home, but he's not actually allowed to live at. Yeah, that same place, right? Yeah, Mar-a-Lago, the same one that they were poaching underage girls that were working at the spa at that place to go, potty with, work the Jeffrey Epstein parties that Donald Trump was frequenting himself. Yeah, that same residence.
It literally men, not human beings. Guys are checking out, and we see this across the board. You have a few metrics that we can track this on. One, Trump's approval rating among men is way down. It's swung down 40 points on the economy. Men do not.
I'm having trouble distinguishing. Are these good things? These are good things for you and Trump? These are good things for Republicans. And I know you'll have to be like, oh, I'm this independent. I'm a moderate. I'm in the center. I just kind of sit on the fence and, calls it as I sees it. Right? I report on it from the fuck you, Tim. Again, you are the most MAGA of these fucking maggots out there. So don't, again, try to detach yourself from this bullshit. But again, did you see, is this good for you guys? I'm having trouble. I can't put my finger on it, whether or not this is a good thing for Trump and exactly what you thought you'd be reporting on as far as being, just a little over a year into his second term that you were fucking dying to have.
Feel that they are being represented and that they will be able to succeed, so they have bowed out of the fight altogether.
And this is Tim trying to put that spin on it, right? He's trying to make it seem like, no, it's not the disastrous policies of Donald Trump. It's not the clear-cut and blatant lies he told to everybody in this country about, coming in and making everything lower in price. Your energy prices were going to be cut in half. The war in Ukraine was going to be over in 17 seconds. If you blink, you're going to fucking miss the changes in this country. It was going to happen so rapidly as soon as Donald Trump was elected. But seemingly we've seen nothing but the complete and total opposite of every single one of those promises actually come to fruition. And people are recognizing that. And the guy that said he was going to start no new wars and that weren't going to get us into regime change wars that turned into forever wars that we were going to spend trillions of dollars in and lose our our military servicemen and women needlessly in. All of those things that he promised are now the opposite of what we're seeing take place in reality. So this is Tim Pool's spin that he's trying to put on it. And not to say that Donald Trump isn't, hemorrhaging support as far as, young men is concerned as well. We played that clip earlier to suggest that, but that's not the reason. That's not the main reason, or even probably one of the reasons that the Democrats were allowed to or able to flip this Florida seat. That, again, included the residents of Donald Trump, or again, not the residents of Donald Trump, but you know what I'm talking about. So again, this is Tim trying to put that clever spin on it to make it seem like, oh, don't worry about it. If we could just get the men back, if we could just somehow, seemingly seem more alpha to these men, then we'll be okay. But that's not the case. That's just not the case.
Boy, is that going to get messy. Democrats will win because of this. Wokeness will return with a vengeance, and a lot of people are going to go to jail. We can see it in how content manifests as well.
I'm sorry, what was that? Did you slip in? Did I hear jail in there somewhere? I don't think you're wrong. I think you're right. I think that's absolutely what we should see. But are you talking about the fact that Democrats are going to get back in power and now hold the people that were currently committing these war crimes, currently going against the Constitution, currently committing these illegalities right in front of our faces, currently stealing money from, whatever section of the government that they decided to steal it from? Right? Any one of these that you can now unifying that's probably a possibility, considering the actions that we've now seen this regime undertake, and the possibility and likelihood of the Democrats getting back at least the House, if not the House and the Senate. It seemed like he snuck that one in there very quickly and didn't want to talk anymore about that one. Listen to how quick he says they're going to go to jail and doesn't even repeat or talk about what he means.
Will win because of this. Wokeness will return with a vengeance, and a lot of people are going to go to jail. We can see
I'm all for that. I second that, Tim. I think that's exactly what should take place. If we do, in fact, take back the House and the Senate, we should have all the fucking hearings possible. We should have all the trials possible. They should be as public as humanly possible. All of those things should indeed take place. We should get The Hague involved. We should finally see, Benjamin Netanyahu pay for his crimes that he's committed on the world stage and also in his own country. Yeah, we should definitely see all that. Absolutely.
Content manifests as well. And so, of course, I want to talk to you about the political ramifications of men dipping out, which they are, and I don't know how you reverse that trend. But we can see it in the kind of content that is going viral and how men who make shows are desperate to retain this viewership. For one, many people have pointed out for some time that viewership is down across the board. We have seen this very interestingly in some of these articles from leftist publications saying right-wing content suffers a major view blowout.
Yeah,
dropping
because you're all fighting with each other. You're all fighting with one another to try to vie for that last spot or that next spot that's going to suck in and soak up all these fucking viewers and people that want to be propagandized and want to continue to follow, whether it's Nick Fuentes or any one of these sons of bitches that we've played on the show here. Like every single one of them is vying for that next spot, whether it's Candace Owens, right? Whether it's fucking Tim Pool himself, whether it's Benny Johnson, or the rest of these ghouls going after each other like fucking Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly. Like, that's all they're doing. But again, they're just taking the focus. They're taking their eye off the ball and allowing, again, exactly what's taking place to take place, which is Democrats absolutely wiping the floor as far as election results are concerned, recently over and above Republicans.
Somewhere around 27%. That's right. Here's the thing. Right-wing content viewers are largely male viewers. Males just don't care anymore.
And speaking, you know what? That's probably a good segue because we don't need to deal with any more Tim Fool. I just wanted to hear him kind of have to tell his audience about the fact that Trump loses the district, the seat that encompasses his his illegal establishment that he has at Mar-a-Lago. It's just chef's kiss when you get to report shit like that. But again, talking about men that just don't give a shit, that takes us to Benny Johnson. Because Benny Johnson clearly not having anything substantial to report on. There's no wars taking place. There's no plight with the American people. There's no chaos happening at the United States airports anymore. There's still not a huge ICE and DHS problem in this country, right? The prices at the pump aren't exorbitant. The prices are now rising steadily for other goods. Like, nothing to report on. So what is Benny reported on? Of course he's reporting on the fact that Donald Trump went to fucking Elvis's house. Because that's important, right? Because that's clearly what people are thinking about and talking about. That's what they want to see, not just a pure piece of propaganda to suggest that there's nothing else important enough to discuss and that this is something that definitely should have a video made about it. But again, just to show the intro and about the first few minutes, we don't have to dive into much. But just look how fucking sycophantic and North Korea style this is. I mean, just the AI alone at the beginning of this is just makes you want to throw the fuck up. It really does. But again, Benny Johnson learning from his new grinder buddies, I'm sure, and putting this outfit together. I'm sure he put in the exact prompt, Benny Johnson, to get this exact suit on Donald Trump. And not only that, but to get like the pectoral muscles, the exact pectoral muscles that he wanted to see from Trump, if you know what I mean. But again, check out Benny Johnson here. This is titled Trump Tours Elvis's Home on live TV. Who gives a fuck? We get fucking war going on, you dumbass. Like, okay, but check this out. And again, I don't know how he gets away with playing this music, but I'm not going to risk it. But again, look at this fucking shit. Jesus Christ with these people. And again, they don't see how ridiculous they look. Like, they actually think they can still portray themselves as like alpha males after doing shit like this. Who taught them? Who were these kids where they didn't get their ass kicked at least once? Like, a lot of these people would do and fucking, they would fare a lot better after a good strong connection to the jaw. Let's just say a good square connection to the nose would, again, fix a lot of these motherfuckers. I can tell you that much. But again, Here we go. Here's Benny Johnson.
What's up, guys? Benny. Certainly one of the more controversial posts President Trump's on social media was when he claimed to be Elvis. There was already a conspiracy theory out there that Donald Trump was Elvis, and people have been saying that Elvis didn't die, he just became Donald Trump.
Slow news day, Benny. Slow news day, brother. This is the video you decided to put together. All of the shit you saw on the fucking morning news waking up today. All of the headlines that you saw. All of the fucking bombing videos. All of the nonsense and the bullshit being spewed by this regime. Like nothing else that you could report on, huh? There was at least 37 tweets that you could pull up about fucking Donald Trump going to Elvis's house. Like, I'm shocked that you could put a video together about this bullshit. I really am. Like, I didn't think it was possible, but if you look up top here, you can see how many Twitter tabs he's got open. And boy, oh boy, no shortage of sycophants on Twitter probably loving the fact that Donald Trump did something other than talk about the war in Iran, gas prices, or anything like that. And they gave them the opportunity to kind of tweet something out there to get a little palate cleanser for their algorithm.
The fact that Elvis is actually naturally blonde, he dyed his hair, that the two of them kind of look the same. And then Donald Trump, of course, goes ahead and tosses a match into the gas can and says, for so many years, people have been saying that Elvis and I look alike. Now this pic has been going all over the place. What do you think?
I think you're fucking delusional. That's what I think. I think you've lost your fucking ever-loving mind. That's what I think. I think you're a demented old tool that needs to be fucking locked up in an asylum, and that's just Benny Johnson. Don't even get me started on Donald Trump. Because both of these motherfuckers should be locked up. They really should. They really should. And we're accepting here, Benny. We really are. So any day you want to make that turn, anytime you want to come out, just let us know. We're very accepting. Big tent over here, as they say. Big tent.
Donald Trump visited Elvis's house.
These are the tweets that he's bringing up. He's like, you know what? I can make a fucking video about this. This is turning into a video. These different AI photos of Donald Trump in Elvis costume is going to be enough for me to propagandize my audience and definitely get how many views you think this got? How many views you think this got? So he's got 6.1 million subscribers. This got 127,000 views and only 8.7 thumbs up, 8.7 thousand likes. So 6.1 million subscribers, 127K views, but only 8,000 people, nearly, we'll call it 9,000 to be generous, decided to hit the thumbs up and like this. All right. Maybe it's telling you something, Benny.
Today in Memphis, Tennessee, Donald Trump goes to Graceland and, well, it's not AI. This is AI. But Donald Trump at Graceland.
Sorry, that's not AI? What?
It's not AI. Here he is. There he is, walking in. To Elvis's casa. President Trump walks into the home of Elvis Presley. There we go.
And no, I'm not going to subject you guys to this. I honestly don't think I can take any more of these two on my screen, to tell you the truth. But how can you possibly go out there and put your face in front of a camera like this and report on this fucking nonsense as everything else is taking place in this world and really pretend like this is the most important thing? Like there's nothing else really going on. This is probably what people want to see. Again, it gives everybody the excuse that watches this shit or anybody that tweeted about it to not talk about the war, so I can understand why they're playing this. But Jesus H. Christ, these people have to be, again, the bottom of the barrel, folks. This is what I continue to say. It's going to be the most sycophantic of sycophants that are going to be left at the end of this when Donald Trump takes his last fucking step and last breath on this fucking planet. The people surrounding that fucking hospital bed, the people surrounding that fucking chair in the Oval Office, whenever the fuck it happens, those are the people that are going to be the most sycophantic, right? And those are the people that are going to be left at the end. So it's no shock to me that videos like this are starting to come out or have been coming out, but are now being kind of broadcast over and above the world news taking place, right? This is let's just do pure propaganda at this point. Which, again, I told you, Benny Johnson threw in the flag, threw in the towel, and said, I'm not going to fucking report on what's going on. In reality, it's too depressing. It doesn't make my Fuhrer look good. So now I'm just going to do anything and everything I can to get behind the man, to be a cheerleader, to get on my knees, to do the bidding, to obfuscate, to defend this administration. That's exactly what he's doing here. So not to take you through too much of Benny Johnson's bullshit. But then we have a couple of these videos that I wanted to get into detailing the ongoing losses the ongoing successes as well that the Ukrainians have seen and the ongoing losses, the uptick in losses that the Russian military has been facing. Again, this is the losses of March 25th, as of March 25th. And again, another over 1,200 troops taken off the battlefield as far as Russia's losses are concerned. Again, we've seen this dramatic uptick in the last week or so as far as the number of troops removed from the battlefield on the Russian side. Again, giving us clear indication that they have started their spring offensives, that they have started movement, they have started actions. And again, they're paying the ultimate price for those actions, that the Ukrainian military still has the ability to suppress those actions, which is a good sign. We saw, a 1,500 day, a 1,700 day, a 1,600 day. So very substantial, even with the over 1,200 here, even with the dip that we've seen. Again, still a dramatic uptick from the numbers that we were seeing in kind of the middle of the winter as far as this was concerned. So these are indicative, like I said, of March 2025. March 25th, 2026. And again, you can see here another 1,220 Russian troops taken off the battlefield. I did want to dive into a little bit of this video because it does give some good insight, some good updates as to the different news taking place in the region, whether that be having to do with Iran or whether it has to do with Russia and Ukraine. This is from the Enforcer, and he says, Russian drone, this is titled, Russian drone hits Estonian power plant. Iran rejects U.S. peace plan. So again, this is just detailing. We only have to go into, again, as typically done here, only the first few minutes of this video to kind of get the gist, to kind of get the idea of where we're going with this. But again, this kind of gives the different updates of different areas in the region. So I thought it would probably save us a little bit of time to check out this clip as opposed to checking out several different clips that would have to talk about these things. All right, hit that like button again. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. I appreciate you guys joining me. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. So please, if you enjoy what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so. It doesn't cost you a single cent. And it really, really does a lot to help this channel. So let's dive into it. Again, the Enforcer here talking about some different updates, some different actions pertaining to Iran and also Russia and Ukraine.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Enforcer, and welcome to the breaking news. Today we have breaking news coming out from around the world, but particularly from Estonia and Latvia, as several Russian drones violated NATO airspace last night in the areas of Estonia and Latvia, causing damage to the smokestack of an Estonian power plant near to the area of the city of Narva. At the exact same time, Ukrainian armed forces have been seen to have caused irreparable damage to the Russian oil ports of Primorsk and Ust-Luga, and have also attacked the Russian icebreaker shipyard at Vyborg, causing significant damage and leading to one of the icebreakers capsizing in port after the strikes.
And I think there's actually footage or at least pictures coming out of that specific strike where it did indeed show the icebreaker kind of half on its side. The one that I saw was kind of the icebreaker half on its side in the port there, showing a clear indication of the strike or the successfulness of the strike in that area.
Leningrad Oblast governor has stated that they were able to shoot down 33 drones of the Ukrainian armed forces overnight, but are also stating that damage is quite significant, even showing that Russian regional authorities cannot deny the extent of the damage. Interestingly enough, we've also heard reports that Ukraine has apparently attacked all facilities with some form of a modified A-22 Foxbat drone. This is, once again, a little bit of a surprise considering the strength, speed, and size of the attacks and explosions that we were reporting on last night when the attacks were underway. Further than that, we've also been able to hear that within the Middle East, the Islamic Republic of Iran has outright rejected all attempted peace talks by the United States of America and has stated that the 15-point peace plan
And again, this is kind of just like a quick rundown of some of the actions that we've seen, obviously, in the area and surrounding areas and the wars that we've been covering. So again, kind of for the sake of time, I kind of like the way he condenses this broadcast, condenses the news coverage here to kind of pinpoint these different places and let you know what was going on in those exact locations to, again, go through it a little quicker than we normally would get through these things.
Not acceptable, and they have also further reiterated that the United States is illogical and that they will be continuing the war. Over the course of just the past few hours, the Islamic Republic of Iran did fire upon an FA-18 Super Hornet near to the area of the coastline.
Well, that's crazy because, again, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth continuously tell us that they don't have the ability, that the U.S. planes are just flying willy-nilly over to Iran, and they don't have anything that they can do in retaliation. There's just nothing that they could do. It's crazy how now we're seeing more planes being targeted in this regard.
We've also been able to hear that the Iranians have additionally reported that they have conducted a significant missile and drone attack against the USS Abraham Lincoln and its carrier strike group. Further than that, we're now hearing that the many Houthis may eventually attempt to close the Bab el-Mandab, which is the strait on the
Here
southern
we go,
end.
guys. Here's another reference to it, something that we've been talking about for at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks now, that everybody seems to be catching up on, that everybody seems to be like, oh, yeah, maybe we should report on that. Maybe that would be a huge impact. Maybe that would have some huge ramifications to global shipping and what we're paying for these goods as far as global trading is concerned. So again, these threats need to be taken seriously, and more people seemingly reporting on this as being something that we're likely to see. Something that, again, you guys heard here first at Blunt Politics, likely about a week and a half, if not 2 weeks ago at this point.
Of the Red Sea that enters into the Gulf of Aden and the Greater Arabian Sea, once again closing off another vital shipping lane outside of the Strait of Hormuz, which accounts for nearly 12% of all global shipping traffic that passes through the Bab el-Mandab, along with the Strait of Hormuz, with around 20-something% of all international shipping traffic passing through that passage. Additionally, we've also been able to hear some other significant developments, as it does appear that there is a developing refugee crisis, as many Kuwaitis are attempting to flee the country. And we've also been able to see that the United States is continuing strikes against the Popular Mobilization Front inside of Iraq, and specifically within its western regions. The Islamic Republic of Iran was able to land a significant attack on the Hadira power plant today, largely knocking it out from what we can tell. The Philippines is also are redrawing legal regulations against the People's Republic of China, most likely to take a more aggressive stance considering the standoff that they've been having inside of the South China Sea. And we've also been able to hear that further developments have evolved as the upcoming annual war game between South Korea and the United States near to the DMZ is now being claimed by the Russian Federation to be an outright preparation for full-blown war, which is not true because we've been doing that military exercise for decades at this point. But we will be making sure to get through all of the news, starting with our
And again, that was just kind of a quick recap of some of the strikes that we're seeing, not only in the war against Russia inside of Ukraine, but also the strikes that are pertaining to the United States, also the Iranian retaliations as well. But let's get into this quick Preston Stewart video here detailing the options that Russia is looking at right now, and then we'll finish off. What's this last one that I wanted to see here, which was the military show, which kind of gives us the frontline updates as that is concerned. But this is Preston Stewart again. Russia's 3 options for taking the Donbass. And again, this is what the military officials themselves, I believe it's a Russian military official or a Russian military blogger, is talking about as far as their options, and none of them seem to be good. As you can see here in quotations, he says they're all bad. All these options are bad. So I just wanted to dive into a minute or two of this, and then we'll finish off tonight with this military show video talking about how Russia just suffered the deadliest day of the year. Thousands of soldiers gone in 24 hours, and that will detail, again, why the uptick we've seen on the front, where the actions may be taking place, and what we can expect looking forward coming from these areas. So again, let's dive into this Preston Stewart video. Again, I really do appreciate you guys for sticking with me through all of the madness, through all of the mess, through all of the nonsense. You guys have been incredibly supportive, and I respect the shit out of you for helping this channel the way you have. So again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you got a buck or two, send it over to the Venmo. It's the quickest and easiest way to get your support to the channel. Again, if you can't do that, all we ask for is a buck or two, nothing above beyond. Anything above and beyond that is totally up to you guys. We don't hide anything behind a paywall. None of the content you have to pay for. You don't have to subscribe or pay for the Substack. There are no outside sponsors or financial backers that tell us what we can and cannot say. Everything that we do here is done in-house with us. It's either through Venmo or Super Chats or YouTube memberships. Again, the Patreon at patreon.com, or if you want to check out the goods over at the Blunt Politics shop, that is another fantastic way to help the channel. But again, all stuff done in-house, nobody else telling us what we can and cannot talk about, and we try to do things the right way. I know it's not the most financially viable in this, it's not the most profitable way to do things, but I do think it gives me the ability to continuously say and talk about things that I want to talk about in the way that I want to talk about them, which has gained us this following, which has built this community up to this point, so I don't see any goddamn reason to change it. But again, I want to spread the wealth I want to take the burden off of the people that have been unbelievably supportive of this channel for quite some time now, since the beginning. And again, I'd like to take the focus off of you guys and having you guys have to support this channel and keep the channel going. So again, hit the like button. We're going to dive into this Preston Stewart video, and this is just kind of detailing, and this is really quick, the three options that Russia has as far as taking back the Donbass, and how none of those options are good. And basically the main point of this is, I think, as he's going to talk about, it is a Russian military blogger talking about this, so not anything coming from the Ukrainian side or anything like that. So this goes to show you just kind of the bleak outlook that they have on their position going into the spring and summer months. So let's take a look.
So a Russian analyst said that if they ever plan to take the Donbass, they have three options. One, throw everything they have into an attack, a plan that he said could take 5 years. Two, go on the defense and hope to wear Ukraine down over time. Or three, start launching nukes. So yeah, seems like everything is going according to plan in Russia. Let's get into it. Now, this was
it doesn't take much to describe why none of those three options seem to be great options as far as the Russian military is concerned. Again, another 5 years of fighting. Putin is already kind of going through it right now, as far as I've seen some reporting out there that he's kind of wary and kind of suspicious of some backdoor dealings and people trying to kind of maybe possibly remove him from power, if that's concerned. I did see a video before I came on. It might have been from Roman, NFRKZ, the everybody's favorite neighborhood Russian that I think we've watched a few of his videos, but I think he has a video detailing how Putin is done. And one of those, like the first clip of that, is one of the Russian citizens talking about how 2026 could be the year that Putin is removed, as far as kind of like a coup is concerned. So there is reporting that, the blackouts as far as communications and kind of the revamping of that Max app and trying to get people off of Telegram is kind of something to do with that as well, and trying to kind of, accrue more power and to try to consolidate more power in, being able to listen to what people are talking about, listen to or look at what people are referencing or looking up, or what they're using as far as communications, that sort of thing. So they want to make it more along the lines of the know-it-all Chinese, as far as what you're watching, what you're looking at, who you're talking to, all of those aspects. That is now being infiltrated. That is now being kind of mimicked and mocked by the Putin regime, as far as controlling their citizens even further.
Posted earlier today by Fighter Bomber, that is a Russian mil blogger or war correspondent, one of the largest accounts in Russia that's been tracking the war since day one and has a lot of connections across the military. He said, quote,
so again, not an unknown person, not a Ukrainian war blogger, not a Ukrainian resistance member, not a Ukrainian civilian, or anybody that would have a reason to make it seem like, the Russians are in a worse spot that they are. This is a Russian military blogger that has been talking about this since the beginning, that has, ample connections, that has been right on top of certain aspects of this for quite some time, that is now talking about how deadly, dangerous, and ridiculously awful their options now are, as far as, completion of their goals, as far as taking back territory, and even making this out as far as trying to, eke out a victory in this war at all, no matter what the fuck it is in this regard. So again, none of these plans, none of these moves, none of these options seem to be viable as far as that's concerned. And damn sure we hope it ain't the third option. I know that much.
We still have to liberate 15% of Donetsk, and then
the
Donbass
Bruins must have just scored. I can hear my dad. What's the score?
will be liberated. In my opinion, we have three main ways to do this. The first is to continue a creeping offensive with varying success, regardless of the losses, which will, to put it mildly, be very significant. Judging by the current slow pace, this will take at least 5 years.
Update. Dad was yelling because I think the Bruins just won in overtime 4-3 against the Buffalo Sabres, in case anybody's wondering, in case anybody heard the shouting in the background. It was a good thing. It was a celebratory yell as far as a victory for the Bruins in overtime, just in case anybody gets scared, wants to call like the police or anything.
It could be accelerated somewhat by sending all of our remaining military equipment and aircraft into battle, but if not done wisely and intelligently, it would result in similar heavy losses in personnel as well as additional losses in equipment. If we can
and again, speaking of heavy losses, we can finish out. That's probably a good segue into this last video here, detailing the reasoning behind. And again, we've gone into this to some extent, but it's always good to highlight the ongoing successes of the Ukrainian military. And again, highlight anything bad, anything going wrong for the Russians. It's obviously something that we need to continuously highlight, as well as, make sure that this stays on the forefront of everybody's minds, considering how, the war in Iran has rightly taken over, or not rightly, but has obviously taken over the headlines, has obviously taken over the news coverage as far as that's concerned. So again, Ukraine has once again been kind of pushed into the background as far as that's concerned. And I want to make sure that that doesn't continuously happen. We want to make sure that we're continuously talking about it. I know there's ample things that we have to try to fit into and talk about. I know it's the plight of the Cuban people. I know we also have to continuously talk about what's going on in the Middle East, obviously what's taking place on with NATO, and obviously what's taking place in this country domestically. So it's a tough juggle. It's hard to do and to give everything the appropriate attention it deserves. But we try to do our best here at keeping you guys up to speed and educated on as many points and as many topics as humanly possible. I know sometimes it may be kind of spread a little bit thin, but that's just the craziness of the reality that we're in. This is just the timeline that we find ourselves in the fucking onslaught of news coming at you left and right, and the bullshit that you have to be up to speed on in order to be not caught out in the middle, not caught with your pants down when something happens. Like, how the hell did that? Well, if you listen to this podcast, or if you listen to this report, if you listen to this clip, a week ago when we talked about it, you wouldn't be as surprised now when it's finally coming to fruition. So this is, again, the military show, talking about how Russia just suffered the deadliest day of the year. Thousands of soldiers gone in 24 hours. And again, this is just giving us a little insight as to what's taking place on the front lines. Give us a Slava Ukraine in the chat. Heroyam Slava to all of you Ukraine supporters. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you for being in there. The army that we've made, the difference that we've made in this war already. Just with the contributions you fantastic people have made. We've sent a truck to the 72nd. Hopefully we'll be getting some updates on not only the patches pretty soon, but also the delivery of that vehicle, so that we can see kind of exactly what you were a part of. That can't wait for that. That's going to be fantastic. But let's dive into this again. Military show. We sometimes have to reel the military show in a little bit. They're a little bit too, jumping the gun, so to speak, as far as, making it seem like this is like the breakthrough of the war, and that like the capitulation is on. So we kind of have to reel them in every now and again. But again, they, for the most part, they do some pretty good coverage. So let's dive into it.
It was meant to be the beginning of the offensive that would end it all. Finally, Putin would set the stage for taking control over the Donbass. But it hasn't gone how Putin thought it would. Russians are panicking and fleeing before Ukraine can run them down. Thousands didn't make it, as Russia suffered the deadliest day of the year. This would haunt Putin forever if he had a soul. The spring offensive is off to a terrible start for Russia, and it's all due to Ukraine. The past week has seen a massive spike in Russian losses. Uncoincidentally, this is also the same week that Russia appears to have started the grand spring and summer offensive that is supposed to help Putin's forces to take the Donetsk fortress belt. That stretch of cities is vital for Russia if it's to take Donetsk. In the north sits Slovyansk and Kramatorsk, which the Institute for the Study of War, or ISW, says serve as a pair of major logistics hubs for Ukraine's forces fighting in Donetsk. To the south are Konstantinivka, Druzhkivka, and Alexeyevo-Druzhkivka. Together, these cities represent a strong line of fortifications that Ukraine has been building up for over a decade. Putin needs to topple these cities if he is to take Donetsk. The spring of 2026 is supposed to be the starting point. A massive surge in clashes along these lines has been reported by Ukrainian military's commander-in-chief.
Again, just to show you a little deeper on the map, these are lines of towns and cities that he was just kind of discussing there. So here's Druzhkivka, here's Konstantinivka, here's kind of this line that they were talking about as far as kind of the defensive lines that the Ukrainians have built up. You can see the angle and lines of attack here by the Russian military, kind of depicting which direction that they're attempting to go. Again, trying to, close off what looks to be this area and enclose here. But again, only happening because the Ukrainians' ability to hold them back in that area as well. So just to kind of depict, and we'll zoom out so you can see a broader look of where we're talking about on the front lines, obviously in this area. But if you go back, you can go, this is why I like the deep state map. So if you look at this area, right, look at the territories, look at where they are right now. We can go back, we can go back to December 25. Let's go back to December of last year, right? Take this back up, go to the first of the month of December. And you can see that the lines haven't changed basically almost at all. like anything substantial whatsoever. So if we go back to today, you should be able to clearly see the kind of the distinguishing lines between where they were on December 1st, 2025 and where they are today. And it's not all that big of a jump. I mean, it just goes to show how difficult it is for the Russian military to gain this territory and to hold the territory. I mean, here we go. I'll click today and you can see the difference. So again, not all that much territory taken in all that time here. Now we're at the, almost the end of March. We're at the end of March already, considering that we were just looking at December 1st of last year. Just goes to show the difficulty that the Russians continue to face on the front lines, and how, again, successful the Ukrainian military is at not only counterattacking, but making sure that they pay for every fucking square inch of territory that they inevitably do take or try to take as far as on the Russian side. So again, just to kind of give you a better aspect, a better idea of where we're talking about and where we're focusing on, that was it.
Alexander Siersky, who took to Telegram to explain what had happened over the 4 days beginning on March 17th. During the 4 days of this week, from March 17th to 20th, 2026, the intensity of the enemy's offensive actions increased, Siersky explained, before adding, "The enemy tried to break through the defensive formations of our troops in several strategic directions at once. Fierce battles unfolded along the entire line of combat engagement. In total, the enemy conducted 619 assault actions over these 4 days." With 619 assault actions in 4 days, which is
and again,
more than
I don't know if that kind of the slowing down basically of the uptick in Russian losses that we've seen means that they're kind of pulling back as far as these these attacks are concerned, or if they're trying to rethink their tactics because of the losses that they've seen. But again, we have seen them kind of, I don't know if they're, again, trying to do more planning, but we have seen kind of a 500-man difference, 600-man difference as far as Russian losses is concerned. So I don't know if they're being more careful. I don't know if they're, engaging in less areas or whatnot, or if they're just, again, rethinking their decision after the losses that they've incurred in the last week.
150 per day. You would expect Russia to have made some major breakthroughs. It didn't. Russia failed to achieve most, if not all, operational goals that Putin set for his soldiers. And to make matters worse for Russia, all that really happened for Putin's forces was something that Russia's president never anticipated. Putin wanted a glorious start to the spring offensive. What he got was Russia's deadliest day of the Ukraine war in 2026. You could even say it's Russia's deadliest week of the year. But we'll get to that in just a moment. The day that really stung Putin was March 17th, which appears to have been the official launch of the spring offensive. On that day, the Telegraph reports Ukraine killed or wounded 1,710 of Russia's forces. Russia also lost a ton of equipment, with
And again,
29.
that was the first day that people were like, well, holy shit, this looks like something's taking place. Obviously, that kind of uptick in the amount of Russian soldiers taken off the battlefield means that something inevitably is taking place. So again, that was about a week ago to this point right now. So now we're seeing, as the Russian losses, as I told you, what was it for March 25th was something around 1,200, 1,220, something like that. Yeah, so it says 1,220, which is, again, less, but not a whole lot less, right? I mean, that is still a substantial amount of troops to be removed from the battlefield in a 24-hour period, on top of, 3 armored vehicles, on top of almost 200 vehicles and fuel tanks, 6 tanks itself, 3 artillery systems, almost 2,500 drones in a 24-hour period is fucking wild. Not only that, but 23 cruise missiles. I think there was something like 1,000 or 500 to 1,000 drones also lobbed at Ukraine by Russia. Again, not to make it seem like this is a one-sided fight as we continue to highlight the Ukrainian successes, but there has been substantial actions seen and taken by the Russians as far as drone and missile activity lobbed at the cities of Ukraine consistently. And that's something that we saw again overnight. But at least we're seeing here that the Russians are being made to fucking absolutely pay the price, a heavy price, a heavy toll for every inch of ground that they're either going to take or give up. In this regard, in that, they might be having to quickly rethink their tactics as far as the spring and summer offensive, and whether or not they're ready to consistently lose 2,000 or more troops a day in this war to get absolutely nowhere, to gain absolutely no ground, and to consistently be stuck in the same fucking places again. But I do appreciate the military show. I appreciate Preston and everybody putting together these videos to keep us informed and up to speed on what's been taking place. And most of all, I appreciate you guys in the chat. You guys make this possible. Again, I'd be a whack job sitting here talking to my goddamn self if it wasn't for this beautiful community that we've been able to build here. So, again, a huge thank you to you guys. A huge show of appreciation for you guys and your passion, your aggression, your ability to put up with this bullshit for quite some time now and to remain in the fight. I do give you guys a lot of credit. There are a lot of people that have checked out. There are a lot of people that, couldn't hack it, couldn't take it any longer, and it's kind of affected to the point where they can no longer pay attention. And I just want to give you guys all the credit in the world for remaining here, not only remaining here, but remaining involved and contributing and commenting and up to speed and up to date on everything. I do give you guys a lot of credit. And the mods here in this chat have been an absolute blessing. And I can't thank you guys enough for the work that you do in keeping that chat a safe place, but allowing people to have those serious and meaningful conversations as well. So thank you to the mods. Very much appreciated. Let's get into thanking some people, and then I'll get you guys out of here. Did I have my phone? Yes, I did have my phone. All right. Let's see if there's anybody kind enough to take a look over on the old Venmos and send something over there. Oh, thank you so much, Yakov. Appreciate you, brother. I see you sneaking one in there. All right. So, Yakov, thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Not only for the one, but the two Venmos that you sent in. I see you, brother. Can't sneak it past me. So, thank you so much. And then to Jenny Faye. Oh, thank you so much, Jenny Faye. Have a Coke and a smile. Absolutely. Absolutely. Always, Jenny Faye. I appreciate you, dear. Thank you so much for everything that you do continuously. Thank you so much to Garrett. For the $10 he sent over on Venmo as well. He says, I'm sorry, I'm poor and can't give more. Garrett, if you've watched this show for a long time, you know how fucking pissed off I get when people apologize for contributing 5 times as much as I even ask for. I always say $1 or $2 is more than enough. You sent in 5 times that amount, brother. No apologies. Absolutely no apologies. I always say, I do not want your last dollar. I don't want you to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. I don't want you to have to sacrifice lunch tomorrow to make sure that you can send in a super chat. If you cannot do that and not fucking worry about it the next day or not even remember it the next day, just share the show out. Okay, just share it out. You can like it. You can subscribe. You can do all the free stuff. Hit a comment when the video is posted. All of that stuff. But absolutely, what you're not going to do is apologize for being fucking absolutely amazing. All right. So Garrett, love you, brother. Very much appreciate this. It goes a long way in keeping this channel running. And he also says, believe me, your voice is heard. Please keep it up. You are important. And so are you, Garrett. Absolutely. And every dollar you send in is just as important as well. So thank you, Garrett. I appreciate that. No more apologies. All right. And thank you so much to Peter R. I'll say thank you so much, Peter R, for the huge and substantial contribution on Venmo. I really, really do appreciate that. I'm always wary about saying the amount for people that may not want that out there. So thank you so much to Peter R. Very much appreciated for that really, really kind and generous contribution on Venmo. That goes for Candy as well. Thank you so much to Candy, V. Sawyer, Tom as well, Tanya, and Yakov, everybody from earlier. You guys are fucking fantastic. Can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do for not only me, but everybody else in the community. Again, make sure we're getting out that link to Adam's GoFundMe in case anybody has the ability to kind of chip into that as well. I know we're spreading you guys thin. I absolutely know we're spreading you guys thin. But again, we try to use this platform for good if possible, and we try to help anybody that can possibly be helped in this regard. So if I can't use my platform for good, what the fuck can I use it for, right? So let's get into thanking some people here on the YouTube side of things, and then I'll get you guys out of here. Maybe on time. Nope, a little over. I'm already over, so definitely not on time. All right, so Vincent, thank you so much for kicking it off today in the right way, my friend, with the $10 contribution. Very much appreciate that. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your kindness, for your generosity, and also your viewership. And like I said, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you so much to Vincent. Thank you so much to Frank. Shout out to Frank for the $5 super sticker. Salute to you, Frank, my man. Appreciate you, dude. Hope you're having a good night as well. Same for Candy. Congratulations on 2 years. Let's go. Hope it's been a couple of years. Cheers, folks. Well, salute to you. Cheers to you, Candy. Thank you so much for your support over the last couple of years and probably even longer at this point. But you are a very valued member of the community, and we do appreciate it. So thank you so much, Candy, as well. Thank you so much, Bicycle Mike. Hey, guys, I'm kicking butt, swimming every day. Let's fucking go. You're going to have to practice a lot to beat me in the pool or beat me in the ocean. We'll have to have a couple races. We'll see how you've actually progressed. No, I'm kidding. But I love to hear it, brother. Love to hear it. Very good to hear. Sending some positive vibes your way, and we appreciate you for watching, my dude. Thank you for Carol as well for the $5 contribution. Congratulations on 2 years to Candy Anderson. Oh, how nice of you, Carol. How nice of you to send that in to say congratulations to Carrie. Very much appreciated. Thank you to Bobby Slacks as well. Slacks. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for always being here. Thank you for your contributions. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Thank you to Shockey. Hello, my fellow crustaceans. Hang in there. Right back at you, Shockey. Thank you so much for coming over and joining us from across that big, beautiful pond that we have separating us. We do always appreciate everybody watching from different areas of the world. Again, if you're watching from somewhere outside of the United States, throw it in the chat. We always like to thank our international viewers for their contributions. We do thank you guys for your support as well. I know it's easy to kind of look upon us with disgust at this moment in time. So I do thank everybody that gives us the benefit of the doubt and knows and recognizes that not everybody, or again, the majority of people don't support this asshole in what he's undertaken. Thank you, Dame Dog, brother, for the one gifted membership as well. Always good to see you. I'll be seeing everybody on the VIP side of things on Patreon at tomorrow's Patreon Zoom. So again, if you're signed up at patreon.com at the VIP level, you'll get access, if anybody has signed up before tomorrow night Zoom, to that Zoom chat. And then again, as soon as that's done, we'll be getting out the dates for the next Zoom chat for next month, where everybody can contribute. Everybody can, participate if you want to, if it's that type of thing for you guys. I know some people don't really like that, but again, it's a good way to put a face to the screen name that you see every day in the chat, get a little bit better acquainted with the people that you spend so much time with in the community there. And again, just a good way to chop it up, shoot the shit. Again, it's no content, nothing hidden behind a paywall. It's just, talking about pets or weather, dogs, sports, whatever you guys want, whatever the discussion turns to. Just kind of a hangout is a good way to describe it. So I appreciate you, Dame Dog. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again to Candy for the $2, a buck or two is all I asked for. And you've done exactly that. And I can thank you no more for that. I appreciate you, Candy. I really do. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much to Tamra for the $4 super sticker. Very much appreciate you, Tamra. Thank you to everybody that's contributing today. That goes for Jordan as well. Shout out to Jordan for the $5 there. Thank you so much, Jordan. Good to see you, brother. Thank you, SFL. Thank you, Damon Dog, for the membership. Absolutely. Look at the camaraderie we've built here in this community. I appreciate that. People even sending in super chats to thank other members of the chat. That's how fucking awesome you guys are. So I thank you so much. Oh, hey, Marsha. Thank you so much for the couple super chats, super stickers there. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. If you need anything, please reach out. Don't hesitate to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. If you do need anything, I'm right here for you. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And again, like I said, I hope you're well. JD, thank you so much for the 7. Shout out to you. Siempre antifascista. We do second that motion, JD, as always. Appreciate your support. Fist up, my dude. Elbows up. Thank you so much to Petrazi. Good to see you, Petrazi. Been a member here for 21 months. Let's fucking go. I really do enjoy seeing you guys being here for this long, and the contributions and you guys coming back time and time again, show after show after show. It means we're doing something right? I mean, I know it's a long haul, it's a slow process, but as long as you're going up and not down, that's probably a good sign, right? So thank you, Petrazi, for your viewership. Thank you so much for your loyalty and your contributions. Very much appreciate you. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Candy, big night by Candy for your platform. Make me stop, I dare you. I would, but I got to eat too. I would, but I got to eat too. No, we appreciate you so much, Candy. We really do. Thank you so much. Again, you always go above and beyond, as the majority of you guys always do. And I can't thank you enough for the support. I really can't. So shout out to you, Candy. Thank you so much to everybody else that was kind enough to send in a super sticker, kind enough to send in a super chat, kind enough to send in a gifted YouTube membership, or to sign up at patreon.com/Boston Brian. Also, don't forget, you can go to bostonbrian.com to check up on any of the Boston Brian happenings, whether that's the schedule, whether you need kind of a quick route to my YouTube or a quick route to my Patreon. Like I said, you can check out the dates. We got my schedule up here at the top. You can click on the Blunt Politics shop, which takes you to the new merch site that we released. So if you want a hat, if you want a t-shirt, again, we're going to be updating that and adding, cups and mugs and everything else onto that you guys have been requesting. So again, I appreciate the love and support. You guys have been unbelievable. All the people that have gone over and grabbed some merch already, you guys really, really warm my heart. So, and all of the connections to all of my social medias as well, you can find here. Again, all you got to do is go to bostonbrian.com. in case you're confused on what time I go on or how to get to my Patreon or any of the reasons that you might go to this website to get to the shop. It's all right here. One-stop shop. I appreciate you guys. So, all right, I'm going to be out of here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I hope you know how much I appreciate you guys. I can't express how much I appreciate you guys. So thank you so much for making this a possibility. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much to the mods. Thank you so much to the best chat in the history of fucking social media, as far as I'm concerned. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. Make sure you guys are here at 2 p.m. on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast for another episode of the Blunt Politics Podcast. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of bullshit to try to catch up on, as there always is. And then tomorrow night we got the VIP Zoom. Looking forward to that. So make sure anybody signed up at VIP. Make sure that anybody that signed up at the Patreon level at VIP is looking out for that link. And yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Make sure we're taking care of the people in the chat. Make sure we're thanking the mods. Make sure we're thanking people contributing. Oh my God, Candy, did you just set this up? Hold on. Did I just miss this? I'm not going to miss this. Hold on, Candy. You naughty. Come on. For being the best Brian I haven't met in person as of yet. Well, hopefully one day, Candy. That is an amazing contribution. I mean, I can't thank you enough. Like I said, you just consistently go above and beyond for this community, for this channel, and it's really, 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 really appreciated. It really, really is. So again, hopefully we can change the fact that we haven't met yet in person. Maybe one of these days we'll actually find ourselves at a community large enough where we could actually justify having like some sort of meetup in some portion of the country. Again, I'm sure that's going to be a little bit down the road before we can get that many people together in a certain place, but hopefully someday we can make that possible. Again, with you guys sharing the show out, with you guys telling your friends, family, coworkers, anybody that's watching these other platforms, these other channels and accounts that you guys are in the chat for, that you guys mod for, let them know about Blunt Politics. Let them know they can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, the whole 9 yards. So let them know where they can see us, and hopefully we can get to that 20,000 subscriber mark before midterms and start kicking some serious GOP ass. All right, that's what we want to do. That's why I started this, was to make a fucking difference. I didn't do this just to look good in front of a fucking camera. I didn't do this just to have a light and a microphone in front of me. I did this to actually make a fucking difference, because I wanted to make a fucking difference. And the bigger we can grow this community, the bigger we can grow this platform, the more difference that we can make. So appreciate you, Candy. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for me. I appreciate the mods. I appreciate the chat, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday show. All right. I'm out of here. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. And again, if you guys are going to be out there this weekend for the rallies going on throughout the country, make sure you guys are prepared. Make sure you guys know your surroundings. Make sure, if you can, you go in with a group of people that you can trust and will have your back. And make sure you have all the exits strategically marked out, just in case. Not saying anything's going to go down. Not saying you're going to need to have that know-how or need to utilize that know-how, but just in case, I want you guys to be prepared and to stay as safe as humanly possible. You never know what's going to take place. You never know what idiots are out there. So just remain safe. Again, we'll have a couple more shows before we get to the rallies this weekend, but just to kind of reiterate, make sure you guys are staying loud, staying proud, staying aggressive, but staying safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel, all right? I'm Boston Brian. This has been Blunt Politics, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on the earth. I really do appreciate you guys. All right, I'm out. Peace. Christ almighty, Candy. Thank you so much. Holy shit. I turned my back for 2 seconds and I got another Candy Anderson in there. Thank you, Candy. Thank you. You have been and continue to be absolutely amazing, as is everybody in the chat. Anybody that comments, contributes in any way, shape, or form, you guys are the reason that this channel continuously is able to broadcast. So it's all on you. All the respect to you guys. Thank you so much.
God bless the United States. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
How to officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Where you going? Nowhere. It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful... Give yourself a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it. I've become an expert on guns.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off!
Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
Always calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy he's taller than me is like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
He referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
Cacophony. A crescendo. A finale. A coup de grace.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.